have a lot of people who will be joining us online today as we have this fantastic meeting. A fantastic meeting because it's a meeting that is talking about a fantastic country, Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the biggest countries, I would say, in the world, because there's nowhere you go to in this world you wouldn't find a Nigerian, and not just an ordinary Nigerian, a Nigerian who's doing very well, contributing to any place they have found themselves. So today, we'll be looking at how we can pull Nigeria together. A very diverse nation. When we talk about our tribes, our tongues, we have so many. But even in this diversity, there can still be unity. Because since I was young, I've always heard of unity in diversity. But is it true? I've never seen Nigeria so divided along ethnic lines. And today we're here to celebrate a man who's never seen ethnicity. He's always talked about one Nigeria. And today is aptly themed, Unity in Diversity, Building a National Identity Beyond Ethno-Religious Fault Lines. To the first Tony URANTA Memorial Lecture, I welcome you all. My name is Cordelia Obe Okorigwe. I'll be guiding us through this event, and I have others who will be working with me. You get to meet them shortly. Pastor Ime James is here too, and we have other people who will be joining us. And I know one thing about Nigerians, to clap the heart, because we have in Isoko, I'm Isoko, you see, and Isoko people, there is something we call Uja, that is like suffering. And maybe Nigerians have Rioja too much. And you know when somebody is Riojaing, that is maybe like suffering, there is something we do. Like my side, we will always do Kwekeyo. So maybe we have kweked too much. Now when it now comes to when we should clap, it becomes a bit difficult. So please, let's forget all the quaking and please put a round of applause together for each and everybody present here. Now, it's not about the crowd, whether the place is full or not. It's about what will be taken away from here, because at the end of the day, we're going to be having a package that we'll be sharing with the world. A package that is calling on Nigerians to be united the way we should be. And so we're moving on now. We'll be starting with the national anthem. And then Pastor Ime James will take some of the introductions. Mr. Chairman is already present. Panelists are here. Our hosts, they are all here. There is no stopping us. We are moving on straight. So we'll please rise up. We'll be taking just the first stanza of the national anthem. Thank you very much. At least the sound man knows that this hall is filled with Aluta Continua people. no time to check time. If you don't play, we will sing it by ourselves. But I'm sure there is that one person here who, when Mr. Chairman started singing, was like, oh God, this man want them to catch me. I've not yet learned this national anthem. But it's not that hard. If you can learn just the first stanza, one day at a time, you will get it, and we will definitely sing it together in unison without needing the instrumental that was done maybe in 1960. I don't even know. How hard is it for us to record a fresh one? I keep asking. I'm going to bring on now Pastor Amy James. He will take on some of the introductions that we have. We'll recognize everybody here present, but for particular reasons, we're going to mention a couple of names. And please, maybe what we'll do, so it's not too difficult to clap, is going to mention all the names, and at the end, we'll please put our hands together. Is that fine? Those in favor, please say aye. Those in favor, say nay. This one is not very hard. The ayes already have this one. So this one is not hard. Pastor Amy James, please.
Thank you very much, Cordelia. Thank you so very much. Welcome to the first Tony URANTA Memorial Lecture put together by the Tony URANTA Foundation. And I would like to welcome you once again. Of course, we have here seated with us Ambassador God knows Igali, who is the chairman of today's occasion. We will be doing him all the honors once the MC comes on, when it's time for him to come on. Or we have our keynote speaker here today, Professor Pat Otomi. We also have several of our speakers here today, panelists. We have Dr. Adeshino Fagbe Mro Byron. Thank you for being here. We have Sir George. Yes. We have Sir George Tommy here with us. Thank you very much. We have Dr. Boniface Chizia here present. He's also a member of the planning committee. Well done, thank you. We have Dr. BC Akin Alabi, wonderful woman, great motivator, mobilizer. Thank you very much for all you do. If I am, please, my eyes is I can see far away. So if I do not mention your name because I am not seeing you from here, you would have to forgive me. I have my boss here. Domo, sir. Good morning, sir. Sonny Irabo. Sir Sonny Irabo has done so much to put this together. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. We have Sir Denzel, not Denzel Washington, no. This is Denzel Kentebe. Thank you very much for coming. Who have I not introduced before I... And then, of course, we have our Director General, Lady Barong Tony URANTA. We have the representative of Senator Shehu Sani, who is finding it difficult to get a flight back here, but he's here today. Thank you for coming. We have the representative of Dr. Kola Adeshino here, Dr. Adebayo. Thank you for being here this morning. We are grateful. I'll hand over to the MC again so that we can do this in military fashion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take a very short but powerful quote from Lady Barong Tony URANTA. I saw an interview she had done some years back, and she said, Tony was always imagining how to advance the cause of one Nigeria. I'll continue to pray for his lofty dreams to come true. So that we say, amen. And I'll be taking something too from what dear chairman for the day had written some time back. He said, another of his main preoccupations was how to build a Nigerian state that is truly egalitarian, welfarist, and inclusive. He therefore championed the building of coalitions across ethnic, creeds, and linguistic lines to canvass one Nigeria out of the motley, at times atomistically proclaimed ethnic groups. He advocated for political reform and worked with the likes of Chief Gani Faroemi, Professor Wole Soyinka, Chief Olisa Agbakoba, Sir Olawale Okunu, Professor Pat Utomi, Yinka Odumakin, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, and Dr. Joe Oke Odumakin, amongst others, to contribute models for free, credible, and acceptable elections. Over the years, we can boldly say that Nigeria still hasn't achieved this. And today, we hope that some of the discussions we'll be having will give us a way forward so that we'll move to a place where we'll no longer be saying such things again. At this point, it's an honor to have our own ambassador, God knows, Igali, as chairman of this occasion. He is a renowned Nigerian diplomat, author, and scholar. He brings over 4 decades of experience in shaping our nation's narrative. Our chairman's impressive career is a testament to his expertise in diplomacy, politics, and international relations, and some of his notable appointments include serving as Nigeria's ambassador to Sweden. He's very humble. Let me finish this one. It's not on this current, don't be humble, sir, I'm coming. Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway. I step aside. Sorry.
Correct, I thought we agreed that we're not going to all that. Thank you. Let me join Pastor Ime to again salute the great Nigerians who are here and to welcome everybody to this occasion, long-deserved occasion. I had troubled Baron at least on one occasion to know when we're going to do this. And I'm happy that at last today we're all here. I think from the beginning I should say a few things about this Lady Baron, very strong woman. And first and foremost, we thank you collectively as friends of Tony for all that you did for Tony. You stood by Tony. I knew when we went to India, then we went to Sweden. In fact, when I was ambassador in Sweden, we came with Tony, and Tony was there receiving medical treatment and almost got arrested because he spent more time on the phone. And the Swedish government invited me to say, the patient you brought into this hospital spends at least about 18 hours on the phone, talking about politics in his country, and he's supposed to be a patient in hospital. Is he planning a coup in your country? Well, Lady Baron, thank you very much for the life you gave to Tony, and even now. But we are here, gathered to remember one of the most incredible Nigerians, and to pay tribute to him, and it's a distinctive honor for us to be part of this inaugural Tony URANTA Memorial Lectures. And that is why you can see the Nigerians from every part of the country gathered here, because he was a true Nigerian hero. Let me also say that Tony, he preferred, yes, his full name, Anthony Iprinye, which means God's gift to me. URANTA, simply called Tony, was a great man that believed in justice. He believed in Nigeria, and he believed in this country being what God has destined it to be. Yes, he was of royal birth. His father himself was the paramount ruler of Queenstown in Opobo. And But then activism has been part of his DNA because the great Chief URANTA, the dynasty from which he came out from, were among the 14 kings that left Bonny to go and found Opobo. And they founded URANTA town and became part of Queenstown and Opobo. So Tony stood for everything that was right, everything that was just, everything that was equitable, everything that was fair. I mean, he had a silver spoon. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and his father was a high court judge. Okay, thank you. His father was a high court judge, but Tony, that DNA of activism was in him. And at every beck and turn, Tony will want to speak out. He was courageous. He was not afraid. He spoke on everything, on elections, on political liberalism, pluralism. He spoke on Niger Delta, environmental justice. He spoke on injustice in the north, the fact that some children were out of school. He spoke on the fact that we cannot get elections right in this country. At the time of military rule, and maybe I should have just adopted what Cordelia quoted for one of my writings on Tony, he teamed up with everybody who spoke out. And I'm happy that one of those who continues to speak out, our own friend, Patu Tomi, is here with us today. Yes, Tony was with us for just 67 years, but it was 67 years of impact. It was not to be like Methuselah, but those 67 years were years that were well spent. So he has left a big challenge for us on this process of nation building. Now, on why we are gathered here, Tony always believed that Nigeria should be one. Nigeria should be a place where justice, where equity, where fairness reigns. If we all remember, at the time of India and Pakistan independence, I always give this example because Nigeria is an intentionality. Nigeria is not a fiction of, it's not an accident. It's, in Maitama Sule's word, it says Nigeria is an act of God. But besides that, Nigeria was an intentional creation of our fathers. When India and Pakistan were to have independence in 1948, they told the British, we do not want to be one country. Separate us. Separate the oranges from the apples. But in the case of Nigeria, our father said, we want to be one. The British separated India and Pakistan, but in our case, our father decided to be one. But the terms of being one were agreed from the Ibadan Conference of 1950 up to the Lancaster House 1957, Constitutional Conference 58, and up to Independent Constitution and 1963 Constitution. They agreed on what Nigeria should be. A country where the child born in Kaura Namuda can be same as the child born in Kulama in Bayelsa State, where everybody in this country, there is no second-class citizen, where all Nigerians are treated equally, where the injustice perpetrated on Niger Delta by our environmental genocide in the walls of Nimobasi will not be allowed to continue, where all our people can be equal, where elections, people queue up and vote will count. That is what we should be, and that is what Nigeria that our fathers agreed to. The question is, diversity is not a problem. There's almost no country that is not diverse. Even the few examples of Korea and maybe Somalia are not perfect, because even in those countries you have clannish levels of diversity. Yes, we may have maybe about 500 languages or 400 and something languages. The classification is still going on. But at the same time, we have to recognize that we can and we must build a country where our children will not see any difference because of tribe and tongue. That's the song we sang. Although tribe and tongue may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. Our fathers agreed to be one. Whenever Zik told Tafa Balawa and Sadwana that we are one, they said, no, Zik, we are not exactly one, but we are decided to be one. and we must work it out to be one. And that is what Tony stood for, that Nigeria must be one. So today, let us discuss what more work can we do to be one. I'm happy that the foundation has assembled some of the best minds in the country, from all over the country. So we discuss as a family. We must discuss. There was a time Zig said that throughout the constitutional negotiations, from 1946 Richard's Constitution up to when independence was obtained, up to 1963 Constitution, that there was no time Sardauna raised his voice on him. There was no time Awolowo raised his voice on Okpara. They spoke as gentlemen and women. That is what this generation is afraid to do. When you want to talk, they say, don't talk. There should be silence. There should be anomy everywhere. No, we have to keep talking. Because nation building is about talking. And Nyerere said the true African, it's not an African who goes to sit down. But the true African is somebody who keeps talking until they agree on what they should do. So today, we have come together and assembled these great minds to talk on how Nigeria can be better. Tony will be happy where he is to hear that we are doing this. And our friend URANTA Douglas will be very happy to know we are doing this kind of thing. Our other friend Yinka Odumake will be happy that we are doing what we are doing today. Gani Fahimi will be happy that we are doing what we are doing today. Beko Rakson Kuti will be happy that we are still talking about Nigeria. Dr. Bala Usman will be happy that we are talking about Nigeria, on how to make Nigeria better. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, I welcome all of you to this lecture or to this memorial dialogue. And we hope that by the end of the day, we'll contribute to making Nigeria better, to making Nigeria a better place for our children and even those unborn. This is the greatest country God has made in the world. And we will lay the foundation for making this country to be great for our children. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, we've heard Mr. Chairman. He's really explained everything, how we'll move and how we can move. And he quoted Nyerere, who he said, Africans talk, we like talking. Well, Africa has reached a point where the generation now, the Gen Zs, they believe in action. And they don't want to talk. Oh. Everything is action. But you know, there's still a place for dialogue, for talking. And we're calling on the elders to talk properly before they vex for us. And by talking properly, that means we are telling them the right things to do, and at the same time, acting out the right things they need to do. And there is one man in our midst who for so many years has been working very hard to act out exactly what he has been saying. And today he will be speaking to us and sharing some serious thoughts with us today. Before we now move on to the panel session, Professor Patu Tomi brings a wealth of knowledge in political economy to our nation-building efforts, backed by his rich educational background from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and Indiana University, Bloomington, USA. His remarkable career encompasses academia, government, and the private sector, with notable roles including Special Assistant to President Shehu Shagari and Professor at Lagos Business School. He is a renowned author and scholar, and he has been a scholar in residence at the prestigious institutions like Harvard Business School and American University, Washington, D.C. He is the founder of the Center for Value in Leadership, CVL, and the African Democratic Congress, showcasing his passion for leadership and democracy. Professor Utomi's dedication to public service is evident in his presidential and gubernatorial bids. His contribution to Nigeria's socio-economic development have earned him recognition, including being named one of Nigeria's top 10 living legends. Could we put our hands together for that? And right now, without further ado, we would like to proudly present to you for the keynote address, Professor Pat Utomi, a Nigerian academic and management expert. He is our keynote speaker. He is a true luminary inspiring generations with his vision for a better Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, till he gets here, please, a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, nothing can be more fitting than the fact that you are chair of today's first inaugural. Very distinguished friends, compatriots, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first align myself wholly and fully with the remarks of the chairman of the occasion. And not only did Tony and Barong visit while he was in Sweden, but my wife and I also visited. I was at a remarkable meeting. It was a global review of the state of the world for the American strategy by the Stockholm Peace Research Institute, full of former and one or two incumbent prime ministers in Europe. I was the only one from Africa. They sent cars to the airport. Ambassador Gali sent his own. So they were such an honor for us. I said, we're going on a trip on the boat from Europe. I said, my ambassador is giving us dinner in his house. So, but I was not on the phone most of the time. I'm not surprised that Tony was on the phone most of the time. To look at the subject, the theme, I was thinking of my youngest daughter who I was speaking with yesterday night. She just returned to Chicago, where she works, from a mountain climbing trip in Argentina. I don't know these days, today she's kayaking in somewhere in Asia, Cambodia. The next day I spent half of my time praying, let this girl be safe for, But when I was talking with her yesterday night after she just returned, I had to work, she works for Bain & Co. And she had to work out of the Buenos Aires office of Bain & Co. during the period she was doing all of that. And I said, are you back in your office in Chicago? He said, yes. I said, thank God you are safe. But what it reminded me of was a conversation I had nearly 30 years ago here in Lagos with an American diplomat about Argentina. That remark has been used to describe Nigeria, But anyway, this U.S. diplomat who was married to an Argentinian, I think I had them over for dinner, and she said, when I said, the husband said, she's from Argentina. I said, really nice. In geography, Pampas of Argentina was one of my favorite, blah, blah, blah. And she said, Argentina was so gifted by God. It was such that some people went to protest to God. You've given Argentina everything. Look at the lush lands. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. This is a protest. We're coming. Why have you given so much to Argentina? And God said, wait until you see the people I will put there. Unfortunately, that sadly has been used to describe Nigeria many times. In fact, one of the things that I did many years ago was start a center called the Center for Values in Leadership. And we had clubs for students. And one of them was at Ogun State University. That club, the medical school in Shagamu, was led by a young student back then who's made a mark since living there, Tulu Jimmy, Demu Jimmy, sorry. They invited me to give them a talk, and I talked about Gandhi's 7 deadly social sins. He has now written books on each of those since he left medical school. He's back in Ondo. His father used to be the head of secretary of government under Mimiko. Now, as I was arriving for that event, the person speaking was the then provost of the College of Medicine from the University of Lagos. And the last words I heard him say is Nigeria's healthcare system is a man-made disaster. I said, oh my goodness, man-made. But in many ways, Nigeria is a man-made disaster that can be fixed by man. So let me begin, with your permission, acknowledging the organizers of this event. Barong, thank you for remaining what you have been for so long. Thank you. I thank all the others. You still a trial. And all of you, I really, really believe that Tony URANTA deserves this and more. And I thank you for the effort that has been made. You know, in this country, which very, very clearly, the evidence is there, you know, it was intended by God to redeem the dignity of the black man. That is what God intended Nigeria for. Somehow, we see it lying prostrate. And so I thought the really honest title for this lecture should be, you know, an elite that lost its humanity and shot itself in the foot. Because God intended for this elite to make Nigeria the pride of the black man and take him out of hundreds of years of servitude, of slavery, of shame. And really, truly, President John F. Kennedy said that to Balewa, if you remember that first fateful visit. Nigeria is a country of destiny. And sadly, we are where we are, but the possibilities are still there. In Nigeria, we like to talk. So we have these talk fests. I probably can try to count the number of times I've spoken from this platform. It's been many. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Ambassador Igali pointed to it in his remarks. It is actually, if we do it well, a very good thing. The German philosopher Jürgen Habermas basically sees modernity and democracy as meeting at the point, this is the philosopher of the public sphere, where rational public conversations stimulate consensus and action that leads to human progress. So, talking is not a bad thing. The problem is that increasingly we're not talking about the right things. We see this talk as theater. Politics is theater, entertainment. But we have to move away from talk as theater and turn it constructively into nation building. My thesis is that our present crisis, this chaos euphemistically dubbed insecurity, which terrifies the majority, not temporarily shielded by power. You know, if you're in power, all these policemen are running around, you think you are safe. That's temporary shield. And wisdom will tell people that that is only for a moment, for a season. Because we have seen those who have had power go, we've seen them come. And the things that they did not do consumed them. like to show people examples. Maybe it's not the time to go through, but I can point, just with my eyes not closed, 10 people who were in power, things they could have done, they didn't do, and those things killed them. I can tell you. I can tell you of the Minister of Works. Well, that one is easy giveaway. I don't want to talk about all of them. Who didn't do the road to his hometown? And but he had plenty of money, so it was possible to send a plane from London if he had any need to fly to London for medical treatment. So he had the money. And then he was going to his hometown after he stopped being minister. He had an accident. He called air ambulance from London because it takes 6 hours for the plane to get here and 6 hours to get back to London with everything in between. The plane got here, he got in the plane, and he died. These are the things that make me feel sorry for people who think so narrowly. So, I point to today's crisis, and I remember the many speeches that I have given around a book written about the time the new civilian government came to administration around 1999. An American. His name's Robert Kaplan. The title of the book is The Coming Anarchy. Kaplan was looking at the world post the Berlin Wall coming down. There were all kinds of theories about how the world would go. Fukuyama had his thesis, the so-called end of history. And so with one America, everybody is calm because one superpower is literally policeman, Pax Americana. His professor at Harvard saw the world differently and wrote The Clash of Civilizations, Huntington. Not long after we had 9/11, it was clear that Fukuyama did not see as clearly as Huntington saw. So history hadn't ended. But Robert Kaplan saw another world. I'm not crying. I think this air conditioner is hitting my eyes and just bringing tears. Somebody can, yes, if they can go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yet, yes. So, Kaplan looked at the way the world will turn out in this post-Soviet Union era and said you may not have a war between two superpowers being the threat to the world, but that cleavages in poor countries can result in anarchy just breaking out. Religious quarrels, ethnic quarrels, this. Then he went as far as looking at West Africa and how it could collapse completely with these cleavages. Ethnicity, religion, economic disparity. He then went as far as suggesting that there is a city in Nigeria called Jos that was classic for all of these things to get together, and that West Africa could descend into anarchy from there. It was such a vivid analysis, and I was struck that it was something that could happen. But I immediately put together a group of friends, and we called ourselves NUTRA, Nigerians United to Resist Anarchy. And we made our business putting together books of that nature and distributing to people in security services so that we can anticipate these things and prevent them from happening. And I can say here that I gave one personally, directly to the DG of the DSS, who had just been appointed, who was a very good friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. I actually saw him 2 days ago or 3 days ago. I gave to the NSA, who on a subsequent meeting assured me that he in fact bought more copies and he has given one to General Babangida and so on and so forth. So here I am hoping that the problem will be anticipated and therefore dealt with, since we foresaw the problem. Because those who say a problem to be forewarned, so be forearmed. The unfortunate truth is that less than 3 years, 2 years after we did that, first of the Jos riots broke out. Almost exactly what Kaplan predicted. In fact, the joke about it, I hope my friend will not be embarrassed. The DG of the DSS, who my friend calls me, and I'm in the US. I says, Pato, I said, that's your friend, Kaplan. Where is he? So I say, which my friend is not my friend, my friend. He said he finished reading the book that morning. It was a Saturday morning like this. He said he finished reading the book. Shortly after, his phone rings. Just riots had started. And he saw what he read in that book. But what has happened? We still got caught in the mess that we were told was coming. Which is why I put all these problems squarely at the feet of the Nigerian elite, of the Nigerian political class. These problems were anticipated, could have been nipped in the bud. But we did not do the needful. And it just points me to some very sad things about the nature of how our elite and our politics have evolved. And this is at the heart of my Tony URANTA story. And I will begin, with a few things. But let me just finish about this thought about Nigerian elite. Because the problem is not out there. It's not them. The problem is here. It's you and I. The problem is in the mirror. The problem with Nigeria is we often point to others rather than take personal responsibility for solving the problem. Amagbe, Denzel, Kentibe and I were chatting just before this started. And he was saying, imagine that all those who came out for experience yesterday can come out and say to politicians, you can't do that nonsense. We won't have this mess. But they will come for experience. But they won't look at their own future and find a way of solving it. That is the tragedy of the Nigerian story. So let me begin with a short tribute to Tony URANTA and the impact of his stewardship. Then I'll speak to human differences or shared nature that triggers human solidarity. I'll look at politics and phenomenological linkages of behavior that focus on particular initiatives that Tony and I worked on together. And then I'll speak to these issues broadly. And then I'll come back to have a conversation with Tony, because Tony and I still have discussions. I don't know if you know that it's possible, but I still have conversations with Tony. So I'll have a public one with him today. Greeting is very important in Nigeria, so you let greeting take place. Then you continue the post-greeting conversation. Tony and I first met in 1977. But I met his jacket before I met him. Now, this is really a very serious matter. I was posted by the NYSC to New Breed magazine, run by Chris Okoli, as many of us who have been around for a while will remember, to do national service. When I arrived, I was shown to a desk that would be my base for the 1 year that I spent at New Breed. Next to that desk was another desk. There was a jacket in the chair behind it. The person who owned the jacket was not around, but the jacket was there. So I knew the jacket. Next to the jacket was another desk occupied by another guy called Atedo Peterside. And so we had a really famous, troublesome artist. We weren't sure if he was sane or insane, but he was a creative artist, a guy called Sandomi Oje. And Sandomi was turned into the editorial room. Look at the jacket. I said, it looks like he has just gone out. Okay, I'll come back. For 1 week, he was coming. There was no owner of the jacket. There was no. And then one day, the owner of the jacket came in. I looked at him. I said, you must be the owner of this jacket. He said, hi, I'm Tony URANTA. So, Tony and I merely recognized that we had plenty of things in common from day one. But something had happened to me that had colored the way I saw the world, which confused Tony. Because we had a lot of, I don't know if we had discussions, conversations, or arguments, continuous. One flowing stream. That thing that happened to me happened in the university. See, Tony and I were both Surulere boys. He went off to UI. I didn't want to go to university. I thought this. One of my friends who graduated, left high school the year before me, had gone off to Florida, spent 10 months in a flying school, became a commercial pilot, came back, bought a fancy car, Chevrolet Camaro. And he and I were terrorizing Surulere with the car, a guy called Olumide Lawal. So, I didn't want to go to university. So my father did a deal. Oh, okay, just go to university for a year or two and make some friends. I said, okay, so what will I go and study in this university? I'm not joking. This is the true story of how I went to university. I got the form, close my eye, put down the pencil. Anything it touches, I will feel that. After all, if I don't get taken, I'll tell my father I didn't pass. Anyway, by some accident, I passed the exam and ended up in the University of Nigeria in the Department of Mass Communication. It's called journalism, actually, at the time. So when I got there, it was just shortly after the Civil War. We used to carry blocks to sit in classrooms because there were no chairs and all of that. People were donating books from all over the world to the university, the main library, Nnamdi Azikiwe Library, all the department libraries. The department library was full of books, but there was no money to hire librarians, so the library was short with books, journals, all kinds. The head of the department suggested, why don't you students organize yourselves so that you can man the library and be accessible for use. Everybody was so selfish. Nobody would volunteer. Now, something happened to me in primary school. When I was a 9-year-old altar boy in faraway Guzo in what is now Zamfara State. It was a parish run by American Dominican priests, Our Lady of Fatima Guzo. And Kennedy was president of the United States. So my childhood was a robin of Camelot. Everything you did, you won a prize, and I seem to have been winning a few of them. You got something, a book on Kennedy. And so Kennedy was coming out of my nose, my ears. That's not what your country can do for you. So I started talking to these, my colleagues. I said, you people, in your own interest, they say, run library so you can use it. And you can't do it for your own selves. And somebody said, are you not a student here? Why don't you go and volunteer yourself? I said, look, I didn't come here to go to university. I just came here to spend a year or two. You guys came here to get a degree. Anyway, to shame them, I went to the head of the department and volunteered. And he gave me the key of the library. And nobody could use the library unless I was there to open it. And since I had to serve them and show up, I was sitting in the library and I had to do something. So I began to read all the books in sight. Before I knew it, I forgot flying school. I was determined to go to graduate school. Now, there were two major influences, two sets of readings that I did a lot of. It was the then new international economic order that was coming at that time. I followed everything that was written, the Dependistas and their writings, everybody. And then the other line was a leadership line, leadership literature. Stephen R. Covey was just coming on and all of that. And so these lines of thought dominated my head when I arrived New Breed. So when Tony would say something, I would tell him about values, principles, and principle-centered leadership, and how Tony would look at me and think, there's something strange about this boy. Anyway, we continued to have our arguments. The day I finished youth corps, I left to go to graduate school. The very day I finished youth corps, left to go to youth. I didn't meet Tony until 10 years later. I had finished my PhD, I had returned to Nigeria, a number of things had happened to me very quickly. One thing that was clear, in spite of our arguments the day Tony and I met, was that we were fairly similar people and that we believed passionately in justice and that we wanted to see the world change. Now, obviously, our world was Nigeria. The forces of division and shrinking prospects for human progress. Look, we can go back to the Berlin Conference, and we often like to go back. I mean, when we were in the university, people read how Europe underdeveloped Africa, Walter Rodney, and everybody began to, before you knew it, half of the university was comrade. Everybody was a comrade. But there was no deep thinking and understanding of the problems and the issues. And so today, it's easy to go back to the Berlin Conference and how Europe partitioned Africa and how these led to unlike peoples being put together and all of that. You know, my favorite stories is the race to Nikki. I don't know how well. By the way, Ambassador Igali is remarkable in his writings on historical matters and on personalities of our countries. I want to thank you for the work that you do in that. You know, but I tell the race to Nikki story because Lugard was trying to secure these trading agreements. So they dispatched the people from Nigeria, the French dispatched, everybody was running to find this place. This is Bogu, the Bogu Emirate. And that's why today in Nigeria, you have Bogu people in several states in Nigeria and in in Benin Republic. So before the British could reach this famous Bogo capital, the French had reached it. So that place ended up being in Benin Republic, and most of Bogo province is in Nigeria. So you had these divisions, and people make a fuss about how our problems, early irredentism in Africa, whether it's Ewe irredentism in Togo, Ghana, and all of that, those were issues. But, and this is my big but, 2 generations later, 60-something years later, Africa is more divided today than it was at independence. Why is this so? You cannot continue to blame the Europeans and the Berlin Conference for why that is the case. The one that shocks me the most is that the elite of the country have enough education to understand that without peace there can be no real progress. And yet they persist in this nonsense. It means that I should mean, if we are logical, that they don't want progress. They persist in these petty games. In Nigeria, it's been, of course, magnified by the rentier state and seeking economic rent and taking advantage and state capture and all of that. But bottom line remains that if they expect to make progress, sustain progress, and they cause disaffection so much, take away from peace, then it means they don't really care about progress. But they don't quite often see that wholly. Look, in those early days, politicians got along so much better in Nigeria. Ambassador Regali mentioned Maitama Sule. I was very happy to hear that. But two of my favorite examples. I had a schoolmate in secondary school, the son of H.O. Davis, to me. H.O. Davis was in Action Group. Zeke was in NCNC. Almost on a daily basis, they would go campaign for their party, which were in opposition. In the evening, Zeke will drive up to H.O. Davis' place, pick him up, they'll go and play tennis. After tennis, they'll have some drinks, he will drop him off and go back home. 2 contending political parties. Does that happen today? It's enmity. Vanquish, destroy. So what happened to us? What happened to us that 65 years after this example, we do not? I spent a lot of time with Damasen Nkanu of the time, Alaji Maitama Sule, talking about Nigeria. In fact, once he has my boss, he say, Pat, I know that my next 4 hours is in trouble. And then he will regale me with all kinds of stories of what Nigeria was projected to be. All this China and Co. were not even in reckoning. It was countries like Nigeria that were expected to be the great emerging powers and so on. But one of the stories that I like to tell was, he came into parliament one day. He was a young minister. He went to his seat. And Tafawa Balewa called him up. Went to the prime minister, said to him, I saw you enter. The leader of the opposition, Chief Awolowo, is sitting there. You didn't go to greet him. Maitama Sule, in parliament, said he went to Awolowo and prostrated before going back to his seat. That is Nigeria, that these characters today have made life, death, no talk. You know, the incivility that is in public life today just assures that there will be crisis. Just the nature of incivility. I mean, I tweet and do things like that. I try not to read what is written. One small boy whose father cannot talk to you will insult you without even reading what you have said. How did we get there? Or here, whatever it is that we are in. So, we have clearly gone down a terrible part that has contributed to this insecurity we're talking about. Insecurity doesn't just happen. The culture, the extant political culture of incivility, of not listening to another person, has brought us to where we are. When I hear the references to ethnicity, I wonder, is this the same Nigeria? See, a little bit of my history. I was born in Kaduna. I was baptized in Jos. I lived in Maiduguri as an infant. I started school in Kano. But it took years for me to realize that Jibo Ibrahim and I started school the same day in Kano in 1960 in the same school, St. Thomas's. Bulk of my primary schooling was in Guzo. And then I started secondary school in Onitsha at CKC. And Civil War started, I moved to Ibadan. Spent most of my secondary school days in Ibadan. I've lived in Lagos most of my life. Nothing gave me more joy than when Lagos was marking 50 years. And my photograph, that of Sonny and a few people, were flying around Lagos. Lagos acknowledging its icons. One day, this incumbent Oba of Lagos said to me, I must come and visit him with all my children. I said, they were away in school, around the world. He said, when they come, I must come and visit him with all my children. My children came. We all went to visit the Oba. Personally gave us a tour of the palace. Told us history. And said, you are Lagosians. Said to my children, you must marry Lagosians, so this is your home. This is... And I thought it was so lovely that even though it was a personal thing, it could be institutionalized. That kind of process. But where are we today? When I see the hate that oozes out of things I read, I wonder, my Nigeria, politicians are responsible for this mess. Responsible for this mess because they have nothing to contribute. Because they don't think. And so, the easiest way is to stoke division, to use that division to garner votes that they don't deserve. Cleavages are being deepened. Look, when MKO Abiola, the elections of 1993, we all voted. Dr. Sylvester Ugo, who is a very dear person to me, love the man. He lives in Washington with his children till today. I was at his 94th birthday earlier this year in Washington. He was running mate to Tufa. Clearly preferred the Abiola ticket, and it didn't matter that I was that close to Dr. Ugo. I voted for Chief Abiola. When that 2 days after, I left to go to the US. Kola was going to London. We met at the airport. We talked. I got on a plane going to New York. He went up to London. I was in the US when I heard of the annulment. And I was one of the first to react. From the US, I faxed an article to The Guardian that was titled, "We Must Say Never Again," and began to rally professionals. And when I returned from the US, I called up this Atedo Peter side. I said, look, Atedo, I've written something. I've seen reactions to it. I want to be a collective thing. I've just written something. Would you co-sign it with me? Atedo said he was traveling out of the country that day. Could I read what I wrote to him on the phone? I read it to him. He says, sign. She put his signature there. Then I got Sam Oni, who came to my house right around the corner from here, and signed. That's how the concerned professionals started. It did not occur to me the ethnicity of Chidemke Abiola. So, obviously something has gone wrong, and it was created by a political class that failed to find its mission. Frantz Fanon told us that it was the business of every generation, out of relative obscurity, to discover his mission and either live it or betray it. It is clear to me that the Nigerian political class has betrayed a mission that God cut out for us, that John F. Kennedy reminded Tafawa Balewa of. We need new thinking if this phase is to pass Nigeria by. You see, I go to Southeast Asia. I try to make it every year because in terms of my research on comparative economic development, Southeast Asia is the area that I have focused on. I was in Thailand both last year and the year before last. I'm not sure whether it was last year or year before last. While I was there, I was just watching the local news, and there was a story about a retreat, the annual retreat between the Prime Minister of Singapore and Prime Minister of Malaysia. I said, oh, they're having annual retreats now. I missed that one. You know what? What it brought back to my mind was the image of Lee Kuan Yew weeping in 1965, bringing out handkerchief to wipe tears, because the Federation of Malaysia, which included Singapore, had just rejected Singapore. Why did they do it? Because Malay politicians, envious of this bright Singaporean Chinese guy called Lee, decided, no, we don't want Singapore. Singapore had no natural resources. For those of you who are using natural resources as the issue, they had none. Absolutely. In fact, the greatest asset of Singapore was the ports, the natural on-through port. And the British Navy rented it. And the Macmillan government had just made a decision to close every base east of Eden. And so that income was not even going to be available to Singapore. And so this man was weeping. But he said, okay, they rejected us, let's go and manage. Within 30 years, they had built a standard of living literally unprecedented in human history. Those people. And that's a man who wept would write a book from third world to the first, the Singapore story. 30 years. It was the success of this man and his Singapore project that woke up Malaysia and the rest. And if you read the Malaysian economist K.S. Jomo, Southeast Asia's misunderstood economic miracle, that what happened was the others were looking across and saying, as Yoruba say, you know, and they began to flock together. The flying geese phenomenon. Now, Singapore and Malaysian prime ministers meet in a retreat every year. Maybe that's what we should do. Let everybody go to their father's house. And one day, we will all come back, because God ordained Nigeria to change the place of the black man in the world. I'm going to round up because I know this matter is a serious matter in my heart. And I can talk for, actually, this is the first time I'm standing for this long in a very long time. I'm amazed that I have this strength. So I would just basically round up this conversation by looking at the battles that we fought, Tony and I, in this matter together. the Niger Delta one came in. Very important. And we approached it from several perspectives. I don't have the time to detail what we did. As Byron was jokingly reminding this morning, they came straight from church every Sunday to my house. We arranged the meetings on the Niger Delta for Sunday afternoons. And whoever the collaborators, including that Nagbe there and co, everybody descended on my place. Whether it's undead, so in fact, I think my office is still the official address of undeads and all of that. And we kept working at this. Then we had this conference in Warrior. I said I'll tell this story. So as to discuss how to this transformation, this bomb went off, boom. Huh? And the second one came. I said, Tony, Abia people won't kill us. Tony said, no, they're not saying they're here. So I said, fine. Then I turned around. The Edo State governor, I couldn't find him anymore. So I turned to Dua. I said, where Adams? He said, don't run. You could not nearly reach me by now. But here's the pain part of it. I had developed a program where if we got this amnesty and everything done, we'll take young people across the board in the area and engage them with what I call the pedagogy of the determined. It was a taking of the ideas of a Brazilian educator called Paulo Freire, who wrote The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It is a way of teaching where the learner begins with a vision of a tomorrow that is possible, crafted by the learner, after you have exposed him to possibilities, what has happened around the world. And then we would create an entrepreneurial class coming out of this and transform the Niger Delta with entrepreneurial people creating wealth. One day I was at the Abuja airport. I will not mention the name just for. And one of the young ladies called me and said, he said she's just coming on. She just got her own contract or whatever to train militants. I said, train militants. The person didn't know anything about training, as far as I knew. So I came back to her. I said, Tony, we have this idea that I have spent so much time developing on how to transform young people in the Niger Delta. And somebody said to me that they're getting these contracts, and so Tony then went to complain to the minister of Niger Delta. He was told, why don't you go and bring your own? So Tony came to me. He said, they say we should bring. So I put all this pedagogy thing, blah, 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 and gave him. A few weeks later, he saw the minister. He said, you and Pat are not serious. Yeah. That kind of small money you're asking for. Nobody asked for that kind of money. It was the first time in my life I heard that I was under pricing. Normally, the client says, you overpriced, bring down. They say, you got told the story. God will help our country. And, then we went to the, what was happening most of the times, I was going to tell the story of Wale and Tony in the sense of putting them in context. Because Tony understood me from get-go, what I stand for, what I'm trying to. Wale Okuni, let's change things, let's work. Look, my leader, you are the one who can do this. Then we'll finish, the thing is coming near. I'll say, okay, maybe this person, politically more convenient, let that person go forward. Wale, who say this is our own? I say, Wale, the ego is the enemy. When it's about us, then we don't understand what it's about. The question is, how can we best achieve the common good of all? But Tony, knew where I was coming from. I think he first suffered through my early COVID days in 1970s. The only problem was that Tony had these great ideas. He would come up with the idea and he will announce it and announce me as chairman before I even knew. I was in the newspapers, I will find out that I'm chairman. So the next day, I'm managing the egos of Professor Ben Mwaboese and Chief E.K. Clark at this nationalities conference at the Sheraton or the other. But central to all of this, central to everything, is a heart and a head advancing the good of this great country. And so I want to close by speaking to Tony. As I do from time to time. I said to Tony, boy, say, this thing what they do. Some people think say something. They're wrong for our head. One thing that I'm certain is that I found out that nothing is wrong in our head. The fact that others have not seen what we see does not mean that what we see is not the right thing. We have come to a very difficult turn in our country's history, Tony. Those things that we used to talk about and say, it cannot happen here, how about this is not a banana republic. Worse than those have happened here now. Tony, our ancestors, how will they listen to the oriki of some of these people? How? Well, you did that side now. When you see that boss man, Baba God, beg him. Beg him. We know that in him, justice and mercy embrace. But ask him to please remember mercy. Let him remember mercy. And in case you run into Chris Okolie, tell him that we're keeping faith. This is the party too. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Keep the applause going, please. Thank you very much, Professor Patutomi. Thank you. Osha. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That was a very, very thought-provoking session that we just had. Professor, I have a question. You didn't want to go to school, and you be professor. What if you had wanted to go to school? Would have been finished. That means book would have been falling from everywhere. When you shake like this book, thank you so much. And we have a lot of things to take away from that. How will the ancestors listen to the oriki of some of these people? When people praise people who should be in prison as if they are gods. It's a pity we're here, but I'm believing that one day we're going to get out of this. We'll be going to the panel discussion shortly, but we need to know the story of what we're doing today. What is this foundation about? What are we expecting? What should we take away from this? How can we help? We need to find out more. We need to know all this. And I'll be calling the Director General of the Tony URANTA Foundation, Lady Baron URANTA. She'll be walking us through this, and she'll be sharing with us the vision, the mission of the foundation. Please, could we put our hands together as we welcome her to share with us the thoughts behind the foundation and what we all can do to make it a huge success. Please, a warm round of applause, please. All right, here she is.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say a big hello to every one of you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for being a part of this, for being here today, and I'm honored by your honoring our invitation. Thank you so much. 4 years ago, I lost my husband after a prolonged illness that practically drove me crazy. At some point, I had to be admitted into the hospital myself. I'm sure you've heard of this line. Sometimes the caregiver goes before the actual sick person, and it seemed to be happening to me. I thank God for good friends, like the Yamosigwes, who called me and spoke to me and told me it's not as if you're having a problem with your glasses or your eyes. You're not about to break down, you've already broken down. You need to check yourself into hospital, which I did. And boy, it was bad. Boy, it was bad. It was bad. I was confused. I struggled with depression. I was losing my mind. In fact, I practically did lose my mind. I had to see a psychiatrist. I was blacklisted, misunderstood. I mean, the worst thing happened. My husband actually died. I really believed, held on to the thought, the notion that he would get up from his sick bed. But unfortunately, he went. It was a confusing and prolonged, protracted illness. But as I began to heal, I had ideas. People have brought to me ideas. Why don't you start a foundation in honor of your husband? At that time, I wasn't ready for it. But later on, as I began to heal and get to come back to myself, I thank God for members of the steering committee and good friends who supported me and just to start this foundation in honor of my husband, Tony URANTA. I thank God for the support I received from them, the think tank, and members of TIU platform and other friends who are not in the platform. I thank you for all the encouragement. They helped me to find my voice again because I'd actually lost all confidence. I lost total confidence in myself. But God has given me the grace to push back and to start and to live again. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who have helped me and have played a part in making this event come to life. I know that my husband, Tony, dearest Tony, is looking down upon us right now and giving us his laugh with his famous gap-toothed smile. He'd tell me, honey, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a one-day thing. You may seemingly lose a battle, but it doesn't mean you've lost a war, and you continue to trudge on. I thank God for this. My husband is sitting at the feet of Jesus right now, in the bosom of Abraham, and looking down upon us and smiling and clapping. He's thrown the baton back to us, just as Pat was saying, and we're now running with it. The Tony URANTA Foundation aims to empower the underprivileged communities, women, children, support of scholarships, education and healthcare. We want to provide access to educational resources, organize symposiums like the one we're having right now. We also intend to promote national cohesion and peace, striving to create a harmonious society where everyone has opportunities for growth, development, with a focus on the poor and the needy. And we believe that together we can create a lasting change and make a meaningful impact in the lives of countless impoverished Nigerians and add our own quota to the conversation. I humbly appeal to you all for your support. I thank you for those who have given it and those who are yet to give, and for more support, both morally and financially, to help us carry out this labor of love in memory of my beloved husband. Together, let us make a difference and honor his legacy. Special thanks to the steering committee and the members of the board of trustees, my friends, who worked tirelessly to birth this cause that is bound to garner international attention pretty soon. I want to thank you for all those who have come out this early Saturday morning when you should have been resting, especially after the crazy experience. Thank you so much. God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was the DG of the Tony URANTA Foundation, and you heard her. Support will be needed, and there is no good seed that would grow Okay, no matter how good a seed is, if it's not watered, if it's not taken care of, it will definitely die. That was why she added that line that support will be needed. And usually, no support is too small.
And say hello. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Wale Adefarati. Very much. Forgive me. I'm trying to get this. We have Bena Yodewe. Did I correct? Am I correct? Yowe. Yodowe. Good. Thank you very much. Ogasoni, did I get it right, sir? Thank you. I'm getting some. And I have Dr. Ayakeme Whiskey. Dr. Ayakeme Whiskey, please. Thank you for joining us today. Now, members of this planning committee that are here present, I had introduced Dr. Boniface Chizia before, one of the strong men of Ahaba. They call them Ahabi Ibokwe. Okay. I'd like to introduce one of our very strong member of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Sheks Ladipo, who walked in when we were doing that. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. We also have here seated with us a very powerful woman, Dame Julie Donley, who is also a member of... Let them see your beautiful face now. Thank you. Okay. I have a brand specialist, strategist of note, Mr. Chino Obasi. Thank you. A member of the planning committee. We also have the secretary of the board. We have the secretary of the board, Pastor Idowu Ogedengbe. Thank you. You're welcome. We have a very strong backer of this event, Pastor Dr. Leke Toba. Thank you. Okay. Tony was one of the founders of the JPWIN initiative, and the current executive director or executive secretary of that body He said, should I call you Nze? Okay. Nze. Anyam Osigwe. Ndeo, sir. Ndeo. And he's here with his lovely wife, Lolo. Anyam Osigwe. No. None. Okay. Please, I would pause here. I am trying to look at the names here. Ah. Haha. Miofejao. I have here with me, we have here with us Princess Bola Alexis, a member of the planning committee. Where is she? I saw her there before. All in white. The prayer warrior. Thank you. Yes, everybody prayer. Thank you so very much. Please forgive me if I'm not calling your name now, but your name will be called before we get out of here. I'd like to hand over again to yes, I do, to Cordelia. Thank you, Cordelia, for wonderful work.
Thank you. We're now moving over to this segment of today's event. Our chairman will be stepping aside soon, and members of the press who would like to speak with him, they will just be here. You could quickly do that. Now, for this session, we're going to really dissect the theme of today's lecture, which is Unity in Diversity, Building a National Identity Beyond Ethno-Religious Fault Lines. Will that ever be possible? Well, listening to the panelists today, we're going to find out if that will ever be possible. We have with us, joining us today here, Dr. Bisi Akin Alabi. She's one of the panelists. I'll sit here to do this. Please put your hands together as I welcome her. She is a renowned Nigerian education expert, social worker, and administrator. She's the founder of School Run Academy and former special advisor on education, science, and technology to Senator Abiola Ajimobi, ex-governor of Oyo State. Welcome, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. Kola Adeshino. He's represented, and I want to believe that his representative will be joining us. Dr. Kola Adeshino is a prominent Nigerian entrepreneur and group managing director of Sahara Group, a leading energy and infrastructure conglomerate with operations in over 42 countries. He is a key figure in Africa's energy sector and holds several board positions. Please put your hands together for his representative. Yes, I had your card somewhere. I was trying to get it. You please let us know, Mr. Adebayo. Dr. Adebayo. Right. Dr. Adebayo, you're one of those who wanted to go to school, Abi? All right, that is good. And we also have joining us George Etomi, a renowned Nigerian lawyer, philanthropist, and founder of is it GEP Law or GIP Law? GEP Law, specializing in energy, aviation, and maritime law. He is pioneer in commercial law and mentor to many, recognized for his contributions to Nigeria's energy sector, youth development through the M&G Etomi Foundation. You're welcome. And joining us, will he be able to join us virtually? Maybe. Shehu Sani, yes, Shehu Sani, yes. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. Well, his representative is here? Yes. All right. Now, Shehu Sani is a Nigerian politician, writer, and human rights activist. He represented Kaduna Central Senatorial District between 2015 and 2023. He's a founder, Citizens Action for Good Governance. Some of the notable literary works he has include Killing Fields, Poverty in Northern Nigeria, Protest and Freedom. Senator Shehu Sani was a notable pro-democracy activist under military regimes. This earned him multiple arrests and imprisonments, an avid advocate for human rights, democracy, and good governance, and a foremost critic of government policies and corruption. Senator Sani is a supporter of press freedom and journalists' rights. May we welcome his rep? Okay, he's joining us online? May I have the program? Okay. We'll also have joining us virtually Ambassador Nkoyo Toyo will be joining us virtually, a Nigerian politician, lawyer, and development consultant with expertise in human rights and gender equity. She has served as Nigeria's ambassador to Ethiopia and Djibouti and was a member of the Nigerian House of Representatives. Oyo is also the founder of Gender and Development Action, GADA, maybe called GADA, an organization focused on improving women's access to economic and political opportunities in Nigeria. Could we put our hands together for her too? She'll be joining virtually. And we'll also have joining us Dr. Ayakeme Whiskey, who will join the panel. So yes, and we'll have a little brief on you as you come too. Okay. Is Comrade Balazaka here? Comrade, all right, joining us. Are you the one representing Senator Shehu Sani? Okay, you're representing yourself. Yes, all right. Welcome, Comrade Balazaka. He is a practicing petroleum engineer, an academic, a chartered accountant, a chartered tax professional, a public affairs analyst, and a past chairman of the KEJA and District Society of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, ICANN. He has worked in various capacities within and outside Nigeria. He has also attended several engineering, accounting, and management courses within and outside Nigeria. He's also a member of several professional bodies. This is a panel. We're going to be doing a little adjustment, if somebody can join us so we can move this a bit so we can see him better. Can we do this, please? Give us a second to quickly adjust this. Can we, please? Yes. Thank you, sir. Please. Here, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. A little to the side there. Okay. All right. Okay, I think there are microphones by your side, all sides. You can just put them on. All right. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, I welcome you. Thank you for your time. And it's not going to be a very long session because we've had a very full day already. So I'll crave your indulgence. Each person will have
Please forgive us. We are trying to adjust this because some of our guests declined at the last minute for circumstances beyond their immediate ability to control it. Therefore, I'd like to also say that Dr. Shino Fagbenru is one of the discussants. Unfortunately, we don't have enough seats here. But Dr. Shino Fagbenru, please, you are here. Where are you, sir? Forgive me. Please, we are going to, we are going to create a, we are going to do something here. I don't know what I can do, a makeshift. Yeah. Yes, can we just move? Yes. Forgive me, Opera. Please get us more chair, please. Thank you. Okay, can we now have Dr. Okay. Forgive this arrangement. Thank you. Emo binu siwa. He says he can be no small.
Well, the funniest part of this thing is the fact that he was one of the earliest to come here today. Yes, he was. He was. You see why a lot of people like to go for events late? Because when you go late, they'll give you high table sometimes. Then when you come early, it's like they are punishing you. We apologize. But you can be angry, only small anger. All right, we're moving on now to really look at the issue, how we can put aside ethnicity to build the Nigeria that we truly desire. Because we see that recently, the ethno card is what a lot of people have been playing. People complain that the politicians are the ones doing it. But today's leader was once a follower. So the mindset of the follower is what we're seeing in leadership, probably. So how do we get rid of this? We'll do ladies first, and then we'll move. You are an educator. You deal with children from very early ages, home and abroad, right? And you have the experience of how they deal with the children where you are to give them that feeling of ownership. The average British child will not do what some Nigerians would do as concerning Nigeria as a country. Based on your experience, what can we do to turn this tide from, let's say, the cradle?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Give it a little volume, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's not you, the engineer, please. Thank you.
Right. The problem of ethno-religious issues in Nigeria goes beyond what is happening in the last 20, 30 years. And I personally believe that our diversity is our strength. And as such, from cradle, in the United Kingdom, for example, from cradle, the first things that children learn is their own identity. Who am I? So they will be asked to draw a picture of themselves, picture of people in their families, and picture of their environment, their community, the society. We need to ensure that children, as from very young age, we let them realize that we are different, but we are one. And how do we do this? I also feel that the intermarriaging in Nigeria is really helping. And one thing that has really helped the Gen Z is the abolition of the traditional dialects. The children, our children, they don't see any difference. You know, they date themselves, they intermarry because one language that they all speak is English. They don't speak the mother tongue. But I'm not saying that we should abolish our mother tongue. No, I'm not saying that. But we need to be able to instill in our children, you know, the values of oneness. And how do we do this? Personally, I believe that our action speaks louder than voice. It speaks more than what we tell the children. And we know, as educationists, I will tell you that 75% of what we are environmental, and only 25% is in the genes and in what we learn. So it's very important that we foster togetherness by ensuring that people see us do things with people that are not from our tribe. For example, the greatest friends I've cultivated in Nigeria, the brothers and sisters that have stood by me in times when I'm low, have always been people from the different ethnic groups. We also need to learn about history. History is very important. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about what has happened, and we need to learn how to forgive. And we need to foster this through what I call the Nigerian values. We don't have what we call Nigerian values. We tried to do civic education, and then it was abolished. We tried to do social studies, then it was abolished. But I think what we really need in our curriculum is what we call the national or the Nigerian values. In the UK, they have what they call the British values. And these are taught from cradle to university and upheld. When our children have to tackle subjects in schools, even English comprehension, mathematics, we need to bring in current issues in the community, in the society. We don't really need to have a different subject called the national value, but we can make it cross across all the themes so that when we are teaching chemistry, we're teaching biology, we use real issues that are happening in our society to ensure that we deal with those issues. I believe that that's what we can do. Education is key. And I also would like to say something that in the UK, when anything changes in the parliament, the first place is sent to by way of memo is the classroom. We get updates every day as teachers to know what's happening in the parliament, and then we talk about it in the classroom. We don't wait for somebody to change the curriculum before we talk about what is happening. But in Nigeria, I'm very ashamed to say that I did not even know my ward, where I came from in Ibadan, until I started working as a special advisor in Ajimobi's cabinet. Okay. When he will now tell us, everybody go to your ward, go and win your political ward. I didn't even know the name of the person representing me. So what kind of education are we really doing? Okay. Education should imbibe political, historical, and ethnic, history, so that our children, we know where they belong in the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm going to be doing, just hold the mic, please. For each person, I'll do a quick follow-up, 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. I wish I had somebody who would be helping with the timing. That would be good. It will help us stick and keep to time. Quick one.
Yeah.
Now, recently Nigeria said, no, we don't want to be teaching children in their mother tongue in the primary schools anymore. That we tried this for 3 years. We ain't seeing any positive thing coming out of it. What do you think of that? Does it affect them? When you talk about history, we say let's go back and start teaching history the way it used to be. Should we be teaching the history that they came to teach us how Mungo Park discovered God knows what? What type of history should we be teaching, and how do we overhaul that particular part of our education? In 2 minutes?
Thank you very much. When it has to do with the mother tongue, the abolition of mother tongue, that's I will call policy somersault. And I will tell you 3 things that made that policy failed. Is the fact that we wanted it, but we only played lip service to it. When you say we teach in mother tongue, we need to develop the curriculum, the material, and train the teachers that we do it. We also need to start from which of the mother tongue do we want to. We have 500 mother tongues, and we cannot teach all of that. And even the teachers don't even speak, may not even speak any of the prevailing mother tongue in the school they are. And that is the reason why that policy will not work. That policy needs a lot of money, commitment, and not just lip service. In Nigeria, implementation is always flawed. We have lofty ideas. It's a good idea to teach in mother tongue because language, English, is a language. And our children have that barrier. They have learned the mother tongue at home, and they will learn quicker. And that's the reason why nations, the Asian nations, are doing better than we are doing in terms of education, becoming a knowledge economy. For us to do that, we need to first of all say, okay, we want Hausa, we want Igbo, we want Yoruba. That's what I thought we would do, right? That's what I thought those who formulated that policy will do. Yes. Personally, I'm learning Igbo now. I speak a bit of Hausa, and I always tell people that as a Nigerian, if you don't speak another major language, you are not a patriot.
Okay,
we
30
need
more
to
seconds.
Learn, because I believe that the language will unify us. It will bring us together. I was a teacher at a school in Wembley about 30 years ago, and I had a brother from the East. And this brother was going through a lot, with the management. And every time I want to tell him, when he's in the staff room, I wanted to snitch and say, oh, brother, this has happened. I can't speak. We can't speak. I have to speak English. So it's very important that we learn. Pidgin, they understand Pidgin because they gave it to us. They do. They understand Pidgin.
Doctor.
But sir, you know that I'm Yoruba.
Doctor,
we don't
I will
speak
teach you.
Very good.
Doctor, I will teach you. Don't worry.
We don't speak very good Pidgin English. If I speak Pidgin English, you will laugh at me.
Okay,
Honestly,
we have to.
So the second question you asked.
Okay, I'm timing now, so that will be 30 seconds. Immediately I say okay. It's done.
Okay,
all right, 30
seconds.
Was, yes.
I think I have lost.
History. What type of history?
History. The type of history we should teach. Thank God for Nollywood. Nollywood is helping us. It's about us, not about them. Because if you continue to teach what they did to us, I tell you, we will not move on. I remember I was in England, in Cambridge. I went to do something, University of Cambridge, and we saw Roots. You know that movie? Mm-hmm. By the time we left, all of us were like, we were not even saying hi to all our friends who were white. We were just stone-faced. Okay. So I think we need to forget about that. Because I preach that in the UK, that as black, we don't carry chip on our shoulder. We need to move on. Okay. We've been able to prove to them that we're equal. Because name any field in the world, not even black, but Nigerians will be there. And I'm so proud to be a Nigerian anywhere I go, and I wear that cap. So it's very important that we start to talk about the progress that we have made. Yes, where we're coming from, and also teach our civilization. We had civilization before the white men came. So we need to preach that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very sure that not a lot of people here even know about something called the Eredo Kingdom. It's not far from here. Just at Ekpe, around Ekpe there. Eredo Kingdom. You should read about it. And it's so massive. But somehow we have a way of getting rid of our road to follow something else. We're going to go this way now. We'll come into you. This is how we're going to do it. Here, there, so I don't have to skip anybody or skip a name. Doc, you know, she mentioned something now that maybe we should be teaching Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. Both of us went home together and you said something. Is there a mic there? Can we pass the mic on? From your own perspective, based on how we've started, how do you think we could handle some of these things? And you could react to that, the language thing in school first, in a minute, because I know you have something to say about that. And then from your own perspective, how we can deal with the issue on the table. I've started timing, so as we would say, your time starts now.
Thank you very much. I believe the easiest way to enslave a human being is to make him believe that he does not have history, he does not have culture, and he does not have a language. There are several civilizations and several communities in this world that have gone the way of the dodo, you know, the bird. They've gone extinct simply because the first thing is that they bury their language. One of the ways the British used to colonize us was to impose the English language. I believe that every locality that has a language has a right. It's not a privilege, and nobody should get permission to be taught the language of their mother or their father. But the beauty of a human being is that when children are very young, they can be as multilingual as possible. And then there's a difference between teaching with the local language and teaching the local language. I think the confusion is in the fact that some of those who tried to implement that policy were confusing teach with the language, which will require, I mean, you want to teach sciences, you have to translate your local language to sciences and all that. So I think teaching teaching the language, I think is legitimate. I went to a primary school, one of the very best, I may say, in Ibadan. We taught Yoruba in that primary school. We were very vast in English, and they taught us French. In my primary school, too, Mary Hill Convent School, they taught us history. And that's where I knew the history of a place like Ilorin. I knew the history of the Alafins, right? On the second thing, that's history. I think it will be very dangerous, extremely dangerous. And it is one of our problems in Nigeria that we don't teach history. People don't teach history because they want to perpetually live in denial. And when the harm in not teaching history is that somebody else writes it for you. When you don't teach history, say, oh, we don't want to hear this and we don't want to hear that. Later on, you will hear that, you know, yes, Patutomi was a tailor. And nobody will be able to dispute it. You hear that Shino Fakunro was a carpenter somewhere. And this is why we have the simple fact that we don't teach history. And what is history? Put the dates there. Something happened. You can teach, if you want to get valid history. Look at a combination of all the newspapers. We have been printing newspapers in this country since God knows when, 18-something. Every day is recorded. In all the Oba's palaces, that's what it's supposed to be. Each Oba is supposed to record the events of the day. That is why in Yoruba Palace we say Laye Aresa, Laye Olugbon, Laye Alafin, that is, this happened in this time, this happened in this place. Just record the date and leave everything for the future to come and assimilate it. So I tend to have a slight different, view. I think it's a big mistake not to encourage the teaching of our local languages, because why should we pick Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba? What for? Because they are majority does not mean they are the most important. And that is something that we should key into. It's about diversity. And maybe when I have a chance to speak again, we'll really add. Okay, well, when I see diversity and engaging with I believe the first thing to manage, to be able to live, to make unity in diversity, first, you've got to admit that you are diverse. You see, if you don't admit that you are diverse, then the good and the bad from someone else. You see, because every single ethnic group in this country has things that are beautiful and have things that are not very complementary. You see, so the first thing to do is to accept that we're diverse. Nobody accepts, you can't appreciate a bouquet of flowers where all the flowers are blue. And if you go to a buffet and all you see on the table is amala, you are likely to you won't spend 2-3 minutes there. Maybe you take out the piece of meat and go. It's not a buffet, exactly. So that's it about diversity. And I believe that in our attempt to claim to want to be united, we sweep, let's forget about it, let's put it under the carpet. And the carpet continues to swell every day, it's never level. You know, that is a major issue. I hold my peace for now.
Thank you very much, thank you. You know, this thing about languages, there's this thing I got to realize. If you're in a place like France, and you just pretend a bonjour to them, ça va, vous parlez français? Oui, no. But the fact that you even said bonjour to them, you have a soft landing, big soft landing. So I think that maybe if we can, as he said, teach the language, it could go a long way in breaking down a particular barrier. So you school in a place, you go back to that place and as an adult, and you see just a line, already it opens a door for you. And also the part about history, sweeping things under the rug, avoiding things to teach. It makes one want to ask, if the Americans can teach about their civil war, no matter who fought it, why is it difficult for us to handle one of the major things that is causing a big divide for us, the Nigerian civil war? If you can maybe take yours from this perspective, and then add what you want to add to how we're looking at the topic on the table.
Thank you. I'm a lawyer. I do business law. So many times we talk about it, things we talk about, I look at it from the perspective of how our actions enable the world look at us in positive light, so that if people want to come see us, they want to come invest, they are attracted by the rules we put on the ground. I don't want to go delve too deep into language or history. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, that we should know our history. And many of us who did history before it was suddenly removed from the curriculum still feel we're better off today. And I don't think it made us any more biased than we are today. If anything else, hiding it is what is making people devise various means of telling people their own story. So the story of the Civil War should be told. And the story of the Civil War will be told from different perspectives. But for me, what is critical is what you learn out of it. And that brings me to this whole issue of leadership. Earlier this week, I gave the guest lecture at the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, where the same subject matter, topic, law, politics, and economic development. And for me, my argument is that however you come to find yourself in positions of leadership, the thing we fundamentally require as human beings are integrity, a sense of justice, and a sense of fairness. Those defy language. They defy, I shouldn't be more endeared to you because I spoke your language. I should be more endeared to you because you see me as fair, just, have integrity. Because at times, we're placing too much emphasis on speaking your language. I think this, yes, okay, on the way at least we do it can actually divide us more than it can unite us. Because how do you feel, for example, when you walk into a hall, you don't speak a particular language, and that's the speaking language, you instantly feel removed from the conversation. But if they, knowing you don't speak the language, then speak a language that you all understand, you feel that's the sense of justice, of fairness, of integrity. And that's really what we require. It's not rocket science. I mean, our politicians, I don't know whether we'll come to politics, but I did make the point that the greatest beneficiaries of our democracy today are the politicians, but they are also the greatest threat to it. You heard Patutomi talk, you heard about all the escapades, how many of us left school, fought that the military should go. Some lost their lives, many lost schooling, some had to go and complete schooling abroad. In the end, we got it. Yes, we made the mistake of walking away, thinking the battle had been won. And so we left an open space for whoever. And whoever is now dictating what we are doing. And we need to find a way of extricating ourselves from it, because we are our own greatest threat. Look at the story of insecurity in Nigeria. Is it colonialism? Is it what? It's us. Who is giving away children to go bomb themselves and bomb other people? Who would go and steal women? Who will go and degrade them? It's us. We talked here about elite. If the elite in Nigeria do not come and agree to certain irreducible minimum standard of behavior, we will come back here in another 30 years and we're saying the same thing. And I want to just add a little point to what BC said, and we should not overlook it. There's some internal self-cleansing, some internal dynamism that's taking place in Nigeria today. She talked about inter-tribal marriages and so many of those things. We're actually growing a new breed of Nigerians to whom some of the things that are dividing me and you don't matter. And I think we should begin to look in that direction. And I believe for the next edition of this sort of very important whatever, we should get them in the room. We now find young Nigerians.
Sorry, get to into
the
room.
Young Nigerians, the new breed. No tribe,
call
no tongue, no religion.
Zs,
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to gen anybody, because some of my children, some of us in a sense are a product of that. And my father was a policeman, so he was all over the map. He met my mom in River State. I have other siblings who are from other parts of Nigeria. I have an identical twin brother whose wife is Yoruba. My wife is Bini. I have another brother whose wife. So how do you begin to discuss tribe and tongue in that house? It's not going to happen. So some discussions are off limits. And that's really where we should begin to focus, because our politicians, they're a lost generation. But something good is happening. I'm an incredible optimist. Let me just add that. Yeah. Some people are laughing because they know me. I'm an incredible optimist. And I want to assure you that as sure as night succeeds day and day succeeds night, this country will rise up. It will become great. Some of us regret it that in our 20s when we were fighting, we're now in our 70s, we're still talking about potential, but that potential will be realized.
Thank you very much. I didn't realize the law that you're a half caste like me now. I know. My father is Isoko, my mother is Kwale. So we are from Delta State. Yes. It's too close. It's not close, though. We don't speak the same language. It's not close. It's not close. But if you look at the room now, there's hardly anybody who doesn't have a touch of another thing within. So when they say the politicians are the one responsible, I keep saying that the politicians were once followers. So the followers permitted them. If they don't permit, they won't do what they're doing. But I think we will go virtual now. I don't know if Ambassador Nkoyo, if she's okay. Ambassador Nkoyo Toyo, you've been listening, I'm very sure. Can we have her join us? Ambassador? Is that available? The online, we need Ambassador to join us. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Ambassador. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Should we be saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening?
No, I'm very much in Calabar, so it's the same time.
Good morning or good afternoon. Yeah. All right, carry on. You've been listening, so I would like to hear your own perspective as about the things we've been talking about, and also what you have to add to how we can, break this barrier that we have when we're talking ethno-religious issues and challenges here in Nigeria.
So thank you, and let me start by saying thanks to the chairman, Ambassador Igali, who is a great leader in the region, the South-South region, leading PANDEP, and to thank Professor Pat Utomi for the presentation he made, and to speak to my sister Baron. As all of you very well probably, or you probably
Sorry,
know.
Ambassador, can you hear me? Is it possible maybe you make your phone landscape or thank you. We're all suffering from neck pain because we're bending. Carry on, ma'am. It's better now. Perfect. Perfect.
So that landscape is better. Okay. So I was just going to say that thanks to Lady Baron for the work she did during the time of Tony's ailment. And just to say that, like the conversation that has just taken place, Tony's mother is from Henshaw Town in Calabar. And when we speak to each other, we speak in Efik. We don't speak in any of the other tongues. So this question of language, I think it's a tool which all of us need to hold on to. But let me come back to what I think my position as one who's been exposed to the political space and one who's been a part of the human rights community, the movements that led to the return of democratic systems, democratic rule in Nigeria, one who saw the military as well, and one who's been around a bit, to say that I think we should also interrogate the theme of this meeting, of this first lecture, and my sense of interrogation is basically to say, diversity, like all of the other panelists have said, is not the problem. Every nation has some elements of diversity. And as a matter of fact, as also has been said, diversity is our strength. As a country, we have formal ways of dealing with our diversity. The federal character principle, for example, which has been copied in many other countries, is something that tries to deal with that diversity. And I think when we think about diversity and then try to create a unity in diversity, that's where the problem begins to come. Do we really need unity in diversity? What for? What's the purpose? And I guess that's a question for another day. So we say we are diverse, and that's who we are. And we say we are Nigerians. That's what we are. We are diverse. We're Nigerians. We come from different cultures, different ethnicities and language. It's just that admission and holding on to that and saying that in order that we can remain as one country, we need to recognize that. It's not trying to drag us into what one would probably think of as a central identity. Because the theme also goes on to building the national identity. What's the purpose of the national identity again? I'm not necessarily disregarding the issues that have been raised, but I'm saying, is that really the problem? Is that the question that should be afflicting Nigerians at this point in time? And even the question and the way in which we make a big issue out of our ethno and religious difference is also another problem which we need to ask ourselves. So there's a lot to unpack even with the theme itself. And the reason I'm trying to say all of this is that if you did listen to Pat Utomi in his presentation, he went on and on and on about the nature of the elite class. And he kept, at a point, he referred to them as characters. I must say that I share quite a bit of those thoughts too. And I probably would want to say to myself, if I were to meet Tony again today, and Tony said to me, Nkoyo, was this what this was all about? What would I tell him? Or if I were to sit in a meeting of younger people and they asked us and said, all the struggles you people had in the 90s and then ended up where we are today, is this what it was about? That's the big question in the room. Do you know that part of my greatest regrets as a person who has worked this path with all the names that have been named in this room around the issues of pro-democracy and the likes is, what did we bequeath to ourselves in the end? What did we? Can we really stand in front of our children today? And I confront that all the time because my work has a lot of intergenerational components. And the question is, you people are the ones who enjoyed Nigeria. I guess the thing about unity is, are we enjoying Nigeria? Why should I be united in something I don't enjoy? Are we enjoying Nigeria? That's the question. And I think it comes back to the well-being of the people. It's about the well-being of the citizens at the bottom of it all. And then that question leads me to the bigger question. Who brought us into a situation where, because our well-being is so affected and impacted upon, we see ourselves not as common citizens of a country that provides and cares and enables? When I was younger and I went to Ahmadu Bello, came back, within 6 months of coming back, I had a job, I had car loan, I had housing loan. I didn't think Nigeria was a bad country. I didn't need anybody to tell me to speak about Nigeria or to want to become a Nigerian or to worry about my identity. My identity was solid. When I heard what Nigeria did in South Africa and the apartheid government in South Africa, my identity was solid. When I was ambassador in Ethiopia, I had no problems with my identity because many of the Nigerians in the room at the African Union and the ECA and also were extremely competent, and people you would want to identify with because we represented a certain brand of Africans. We didn't have a problem with all of that. So back to the point, and my point is therefore, the real issue is if I were to tell my grandchildren that, look, the problem really is the political elite, like Professor Utumi talked about. I'm sure they'll say, the children will turn back to me, Mommy, Grandma, why did you people allow it? Why did you allow it? And I think that's something the moderator has raised a couple of times. Where are the citizens? Where are the voices of the citizens? Why did we allow it? And the point in question, therefore, and to put it as mildly or as simplistically as possible, is that we have criminals that have taken over. These are not elites. These are not elites as we understand it in other contexts, where you can now depend on these same elites to build a common consensus, agree on what the future of the country. The moment they do that, they know that they will be excluded from that system. Because the system itself is built on the fact that you cannot have that consensus. Yeah. I asked the question, I've been in the political spaces before. I've never been in a political meeting or anything and anybody starts telling you you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're not yourself. When we leave the meeting and we see that we are being disadvantaged, we then remember that we are not Muslim and something else like that. So it's very clear that what we are discussing and raising and making the theme of this conference is about something which is a creation. And I think what the Professor Utomi talked about how we have created the mismanagements and the process. And ideally, I think at the end of the day, some blames have to be taken, some failures have to be recognized, but I think in the end, it's about the well-being of the citizens. It's about the country, the well-being of the country, the development of the country. If we have a country that is serving its citizens and serving its people, people will not be asked. You don't need to introduce it to anybody. People will assume that they belong here, and that national identity we're talking about will naturally evolve into what it was. And similarly, the ethno-religious will become less important. Thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Oh, wow. She has said a lot there, right? You know, there was something she said, and it reminded me of the Boondocks. I don't know who knows the Boondocks. Like, what do you call it? It's an animation, African American. And there was, a cartoon. There was a particular episode of the Boondocks that Martin Luther King was alive. He came back to life to see what was going on. And Martin Luther King became very angry. And he asked them that, are you guys telling me that this was what we fought for? Seeing what African Americans and America had become. And he said, you know what? I'm moving to Canada. I don't think I want to do that again. So when she said that they didn't have a problem with Nigeria when things were moving well, it now makes us ask the question, are you telling us that this is what you all have been fighting for, what we're experiencing right now? Because the identity, do we even have an identity? In the process of looking at this, who you spoke, is you now? Yes, sir, Zaka. Is this it? This identity we have now, is it warped? Does it even exist? Ethnicity, religion, everything clouding our thoughts and our thought pattern? Is this it?
Thank you for that question. Before I answer your question quickly, if you wouldn't mind, this is
14th convocation, University of Port Harcourt.
In 1996.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, open that. I'm bringing this for the first time today. Open page, go to page 30. Quickly.
Okay.
Page 30. Uniport 1996 convocation.
Okay.
Page 30.
Page 30.
From the top.
From the top.
Which one is the second name? Page
Green?
30.
Oh, Jonathan Goodluck Ebele, zoology.
PhD convocation. Go to page 34.
Okay. Page 34.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Under engineering, petroleum engineering.
Petroleum
The
engineering.
third name.
Bala Zaka Sanki.
So can diversity be more than this? This was me during the same convocation, right, in 1996. His was the PhD convocation. Of course, they were the PhD. Then you had the masters. But in this same country, I remember there were some people that were saying he didn't have a PhD. Did you remember? Yes. I had this. I didn't bring it out. From what when some people were talking about my bio brief, right, somebody said I was the chairman of Ikeja District Society of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'm happy somebody is here. This gentleman here was my friend when I was a bloody ICANN student. It took me 10 years to become a chartered accountant because I switched from engineering and I wanted to have some fun. He taught me. He's still my teacher. We are friends, but I'm older than him. Don't mind the... So how can you describe diversity? Right? I was born in Zaria. I schooled in Maiduguri. I had my primary and secondary school education in Maiduguri. In fact, my secondary school is a place called Askira-Uba. It's just like if you are there, if you jump to this side, you are in Lagos, Ogun State. If you cross to this side, you are in Lagos, Lagos State. Where I had my secondary school was not more than 10 kilometers away from Sambisa Forest. So there is nothing anybody can tell me about Borno State and insecurity. When I was an undergraduate, you may not believe it, the Chancellor of Uniport then was the El Kanemi. He's even here. You know, there was a time I knew all the streets. All, I'm not saying one or some. All the streets in Port Harcourt. All, I'm not saying some. I can stand at oil mill and tell you all the villages you will see from oil mill junction to Bani, Ken Sarowa's village. If you are living River State, to Yakra. I can stand at Rumokoro junction and tell you, of course, from Rumokoro, you get to Uniport, to Emoha, to Rumuji, to Ndele, to Elele. You cross to Yenegua, to Mbiama. No, I'm serious about it. You get to Mbiama, you cross to Patani. When Nigeria went into politics, the chairman of PDP then was one Captain Payo Sinebe. I knew him when he was an order rank. There was a time I had problems with touts. You know, even in those days, they would put stick, and I would run. I crossed that, and I ran to his house at Patani. So from there, I can tell you everything about Nigeria. Today, I came and I'm being celebrated in Lagos State. But before I say something again, the June 12th election took place on the 12th of June, 1993. In those days, there was this newspaper company, Sunray, directly opposite Bori Camp in Port Harcourt. I want to believe we will have seasoned journalists here because we're talking to the whole world today. Check the Sunray of 11th June 1993. I used my money. I was a young boy. I used my money because it's there. I'm not saying I paid. My picture is there or was there. Anybody that, because some of these things they have now been probably scanned and they are in electronic form. Go there, Balazaka was there. I paid. That was the extent to which we believed in one Nigeria and those who were going to lead us into democracy. I'm telling you. But it is very, very unfortunate that today, this same Nigeria that we are talking, the Nigerian political waters now is infested by very dangerous political crocodiles. I'm serious, I'm saying it. Because you cannot explain it. Nobody will convince me. I'm telling you this. And that's why people like us will talk with records. That was why I started with this. Right. To be honest, I can tell you, as far as I am concerned, based on what we thought, our vision, to me, Nigeria is still on the path to political, social, and economic Golgotha. Something needs to be done. Let's not hide it. I was there, and I am still here. We must not all be in politics to get it right. If I could have this as far back as then, already as far back as 96, I had a master's in petroleum engineering. Why was I not going to look for an opportunity to serve in government? So we believe that I need to be on my lane. You need to be on your lane. That was why the day Buhari was being buried, I was interviewed by Channel. And they asked me, around the time he was being buried, because we had the meeting of the Patriots in Abuja. What did I say? I said some people just need to be on their lanes, as far as I'm concerned. So, but whether people accept it or not, Nigeria is still on the wrong track. But it is a gathering like this that will make us to recalibrate our strategies and get Nigeria on course. It may happen during my lifetime. It may not happen. But like all the optimists, we will wish Nigeria well. But let us accept the truth. The political class has messed up so many things. We have so many economic vampires, economic traitors, and economic betrayers.
Thank you.
Quote me, I said so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll now move this way to your teacher. We'll pass it to your teacher. Okay, he has his mic there. Dr. Muyiwa. Dr. Muyiwa, he just said people should stay on their lanes. I think we've come to a point where people do not believe that if you're not in power, you cannot do anything. You cannot contribute in any way. But I remember growing up, they used to tell us that you can do what you can. My father used to say so. In your little corner, you can start from there. Do you think in this fight, people can stay in their lanes to bring Nigeria to a point where your tribe, your religion, doesn't matter in any way, all you're thinking of is a better Nigeria from where you're standing? Do you think we can ever get to that point he talked about?
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll start by more or less reading out the goodwill message from Dr. Kola Adesina, who unavoidably is absent outside Nigeria. And from there, that goodwill message will probably reveal the answer to that. And from there, I'm also going to make my comments.
Okay, then that means you now have 1 minute to wrap it up.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, he say good morning, but I will say good afternoon. Now, today we gather in honor of a man who carried Nigeria in his heart with the tendency of being a father, the passion of a patriot, and the courage of a lion, and that is Tony URANTA. Tony was more than a friend. He was my brother, a brother in vision, a brother in conviction, a brother in unwavering belief that Nigeria can and must rise above the limitation we often imposed upon ourselves. To describe Tony URANTA is to speak of a soul that refused to be indifferent, a Pan-Africanist who saw Africa not as a collection of borders, but as a tapestry of shared destinies. A bridge builder who believes that justice is not merely a moral ideal, but the foundation upon which true progress rests. A man whose life philosophy was simple. If it concerns Nigeria, it concerns me. He was courageous in the face of adversity, unyielding in his pursuit of truth, and tireless in the devotion of a Nigeria that works not for a few, but rather for all. Tony did not just love Nigeria, he rescued for her, he changed her, he blessed her, and today his legacy challenges all of us to continue to fight for unity, progress, for the truth, and for national identity. Now, to further wrap it up from the goodwill message, he also extends his goodwill to the beloved family of our own departed icon, his wife, his children, his siblings, and all of us who shared his daily word. We say thank you. Thank you for sharing Tony with Nigeria and Nigerians. Thank you for the sacrifices made quietly while he fought loudly. Thank you for sustaining his vision beyond his lifetime. May God strengthen you. May his grace comfort you. And may Tony's legacy remain a guiding light, not only in your home, but in the heart of every Nigerian committed to a better nation. Tony departed, left a void, yes, but his ideas left a map of the Nigeria he dreamed of, a Nigeria that must emerge. May we find the courage to follow that map. May we find the wisdom to live out his ideals. And may his memory continue to inspire a nation still searching for itself. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amen. Now, to speak about what we have today, I think we need to go back to history. You know, there's this maxim that says, why does history continue to repeat itself? It's because we failed severally and repeatedly to learn from history. But unfortunately, Nigeria is not even talking of learning from history. We don't even know that history does exist. And that's where the major problem lies. Secondly, when I was growing up, I understood what we call value system. But in the last 2 decades or 3 decades, I've never seen a situation where, other than rhetorics or slogan, we never lived anything called value. Today, ask the little kids, what do they want to do? What do they desire? You'll see that everything they discuss rally around money, affluence, and some other things, which also speaks to the fact that how do we in Nigeria define success? Because success is not driven by material things. Your bank account, what you show off, and the like. And therefore, that is why you find out that in a normal relay, you are supposed to stay on your lane. But in today's world, people now cross the lanes because staying in your lane doesn't seem to take you to your destination. And unfortunately, we are now running other people's race. And one thing we need to realize in this part of the world is that diversity is part of what has been created to more or less make this world something you continue to find new things and continue to more or less feel like you want to enjoy this world the more. Because once you don't have diversity, it then means there's no variety. And that's where the problem lies. And once you understand that in diversity, we need to take advantage of one another. And that's why you see sometimes in a workspace, you talk about specialization, you talk about things about people having different things they bring to the table. Which then means that if I understand that we are different, and I appreciate our difference, therefore we can take comparative advantage of things I have, you have, and put it to the table. In engineering, you find out that materials have different diversity. But in order to build a composite structure, you need those diversities to build the strength. And therefore, we need to go back to the drawing board to probably understand that history does exist. History is a truth that nobody can run away from. Let us try to learn from those history rather than shying away from it. And likewise, let us go back to how we start to teach and act on what value is all about, which defines our national identity. Today in Nigeria, what can we call our DNA? Many nations of the world have DNA that when you see them, you can more or less relate them to their culture, to their history, to their background. But what can we say about Nigeria? It then means that our leaders and the true allies are the ones to stand up towards it. Sometimes we have made mistakes in the past by leaving these things to people that have now reshaping what we are, which was not. But according to the Chinese proverb, 20 years ago probably is the best time we need to have acted. But the next best time to act is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you. Doc, please hold the mic. Still hold the mic, please. Can you say that your Chinese proverb in Chinese? I'm sure it will sound better in Chinese.
Okay. No. My kids might be able to speak a little Chinese, but again, I've been challenged by two Chinese institutes who has picked upon my material on hydrocarbon, that's petroleum, oil and gas book, and they are sorted permission from me to convert it to Chinese.
So how will
and
you
once
read
they
it
bring
now?
it back, probably I'll start to learn Chinese.
How will you now read it? So next time, Doc, if I were you, I would just, where are you from? You're Yoruba.
Okay, if you look at it, I was told I'm from Oyo State. But my parents were born in Lagos, and likewise I was born in Lagos. Therefore,
Okay.
I'm a Lagosian.
So next time we'll do it in English. If not, you speak the Chinese. Ni hao.
Ni hao. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we'll be looking at this from another perspective. History is playing a key role in all what we're talking about today because you need the solution, you have to go back to see where the problem started from. And they say that if you do not know where you're coming from, how would you know where you're going to? I'm in the media space, right? And I do a lot with music and so on. I was watching the television one day, and during October, 2 years ago, October 1, you know, stations would start to do things about Nigerian history and so on. And a young lady was doing something on Nigerian music. And she, honestly, from her heart, I think she didn't mean any offense, she started writing Nigeria's music history from 2000. And I was like, huh? That was where she started from.
And I was like, I started broadcasting when I was younger than you, but I knew to go back to find out, because I grew to know that the media is what would teach the environment. Because of that, actually, we started a program called the Legacy Lounge, where we're telling the stories of people who joined in building this, because we believe that history is very important. So we come now, Dr. Whiskey. The role of the media in all of this. If we're talking all these things now, and the media is showing us something, you referred to Nollywood the other time, the type of things Nollywood seem to be teaching. Some are maybe dodgy here and there, showing some tribes as doing more of this. There was a recent cry about the herd, and a particular part of the country is complaining that, no, you're making us look like terrorists, all of us. So how can the media come into this discussion to make all what we're saying a reality, so they don't keep dividing us one way or the other? Because a lot of the media houses now are even being owned by the politicians. So how do we make this work?
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to appreciate the DG of the foundation, my very special friend, who understands my relationship with the subject matter of our discussion here, TIU. Well, he's been a national player, and I've been a local player. And that was how our interests met. And from when we met, because we shared similar aspirations, the relationship kept growing. So I'd like to appreciate you for extending the invitation to me. Today, I'm supposed to be at the burial of a very close somebody. But because I couldn't attend TIU's funeral, I decided I must be in Lagos. And that's why I came in this morning. Not knowing that a seat was divinely reserved for me to sit on this side. Well, let me say that even though media houses are owned by politicians, or some politicians, or some media houses, I can say without contradiction that a number of the media journalists operating in those media houses are never influenced by the thoughts of their owners. I'll point to names that are so endearing to me. Shehu Okumbaloye of Channels. He speaks fearlessly regardless of who owns his medium. Rufai Husseini of Arise News. He does not care who owns his medium. So these are people that refuse to be intimidated. And I tell you, I'm one man, anytime I see Rufai on, is it Arise this morning or whatever they call it, morning show, I sit glued to that television for 2-3 hours. Please permit me to digress. We are talking about unity of this country. I remember when Tony brought all of us together at Sheraton. It was the very first day I met my executive secretary, Inze Charles Osigwe, I am. I didn't know that he was one of the engine rooms that gave birth to that gathering, that brought the creme de la creme of Nigeria together. until after the public show. It was in the night. Tony introduced him to me. And I had the privilege of being part of the communique committee. The basis of that meeting was to look for ways to unite Nigerians. Bet. And that is where I want to premise my interrogation here. On what basis can we advance the unity of this country? Professor Pat mentioned a bit of it, and my brother here mentioned a bit of it. Can there be unity without justice? Can there be unity without equity? Can there be unity without fairness? And that is where we now have people tilt more to ethno-religious fault lines. I am an Ijaw man. Very proud one for that matter. My Ijaw nation produces about 60% of the oil that is feeding Nigeria. Yet, we are one of the most impoverished regions in this country. So how can there be unity? Why would you trust me not to pander to my ethnicity? Why? How can I be speaking of one Nigeria when my people are denied? The resources from my place is used to develop other regions. And some leaders are saying I should allow their cattle to come to my place without any condition to graze. And I should keep quiet. And those headsmen will come around with guns to kill innocent women, innocent children, to damage crops. And I should keep quiet because we are talking about unity. For me, that's the most fundamental thing. If we are talking about ethno-religious fault lines, we must appreciate first and foremost, why are people pandering to ethno-religious fault lines? It's not about language. I mean, like what my brother said, if you say we have about 450 ethnic nationalities in this country, and you bring only 3 languages to say those 3 languages should be taught, that is cultural enslavement. That is cultural enslavement. Who says I'm not supposed to promote my ethnic language, the Ijaw language, which I proudly speak anytime, any day, anywhere? Who says I shouldn't? See, until we learn how to do things in this country, appreciating the sensitivities of other people, then Nigeria will not make any progress. Yes, I agree. The political elites are creating more of disunity in this country than otherwise. Some of us can't be convinced that, with all due respect, President Ahmed Tinubu was once a pro-democracy hero. No. If you look at his appointments, he's only favoring his ethnic nationality, Yoruba. Even the recent ambassadorial appointments, 11 came from Southwest, only 3 for South-South. And you ask me not to give attention to my region. You ask me not to give attention to my Ijaw nation, that I should be preaching one Nigeria. It won't work. If there is no equity, if our leaders don't enthrone equity, if our leaders don't enthrone fairness, it is better for us to maybe go our own different ways. Because nobody can continue to be a slave to the other person. Nobody can continue to be subservient to other ethnic nationalities. It's not possible.
Thank you.
Because it's not as if my people don't have the brains. We have the brains as you do. So why don't you do things based on merit?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. But Dr. Whiskey, we can quick vex on Niger Delta.
Yes. You sabi vex.
You don't vex, so.
You sabi vex because the subject matter call for vex.
Sure. And they look at your face, they change. Your face, they change. But that just now you said you and you were looking at me. Is it my you? No, my own you not the same.
I said the subject matter calls for vex.
Okay. Then. You see, my own you is his same you, because my own you, what he just talked about. If you come to the Niger Delta, for instance, my own part is Soko, and you look at the rivers, just quietly look at it. You see that thin film of oil just floating on top of it. Then some parts are really bad. Then they'll now hear that the land they are now managing to farm, somebody wants to come and graze on it. Wait, do you think they would ever agree? So in 1 minute, I'm going to be timing, because I think lunch is already served, but I'll crave your indulgence. Maybe we could tweak a little here and there. So we do some things before we go for lunch. 1 minute. I will just start like this. What is the way forward? 1 minute.
Repent.
The kingdom of God is at hand. Thank you. Thank you. Next. Yes, so repent. Okay. Doctor?
Okay. What I believe is for us to more or less understand the truth. And biblically, once you know the truth,
it will set you free.
Yeah, but drugs are bitter, but it heals. And that's just the reality.
Thank you.
And once you know the truth, it sets us free. Let us not shy away from the truth.
All right.
Let us accept it the way it is, and over time, we'll all be a beneficiary of it. Thank you very much.
That is AKA repent. Okay. Doc? Yes.
Wow.
1 minute.
For me,
Okay.
yeah, the way forward that I will propose is for us to promote equity, justice, peace, and be sensitive to one another. We should show the true meaning of being educated. You know, you should do things in moderation. You should be measured. That is what education is all about. It's about knowing when to keep quiet. It's about knowing to look the other way. It's about knowing how to give compliments and just be measured. Just do things in moderation. And like my brother said, that anger is only anger.
Yes.
Because anybody will not like what is happening. We don't even like it. And you know that even the Yoruba people are more vocal when it comes to criticizing their own. So we do not like it because it's like all the mechanism of government and society has been hijacked. So we need to do something and continue to talk. For those of us who have a voice, let's continue to talk about equity. And when we find ourselves in position of leadership, like my brother said, integrity.
All right.
Right? Is important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please help me tell our dear people that once you pass Ore, we are not all after Ore. You know, Abi? Yeah, let me not say they are filming us. Once you pass Ore, we are plenty. We are plenty. Okay, help me tell them. Then, sir?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, have you come down? You
No,
see
I'm
the
down.
face?
I'm down.
Carry on.
Yes. My recommendation is simply this. Apply the rule of law to everybody equally. Equally. Irrespective of his region, its tribe, its religion. Apply the rule of law equally. Because the foundation of this country is built on the rule of law. Don't implement the law to favor one person against the other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And that thing you said makes me think, because virtually everybody in power right now, or in politics, a lot of them all danced to Peter Tosh, I think. Yeah, it was Peter Tosh when he was singing equal rights. They all loved it, but practicing, you're saying that's the problem now, right? Okay, sir.
I think we just have to accept that Nigeria is on the wrong track. That's the first thing. We just have to accept it. Nobody can explain to me that in 1992, when I had my River State Insurance Company then, and I was paying, they told me that by the time I will be 60, what I was going to get will be 120,000 Nigerian naira. And I did it. I was 60 in September. So which means from that time to this September, I was going to be given 120,000 Nigerian naira that cannot buy 150 liters of petrol. So it tells you Nigeria is not working. We must accept it. We must accept it that some of the policies of government are wrong. And if the government does not come to accept this thing, then people like me will continue to look at them like that. Nobody will explain to me that when I went for my PhD, my PhD supervisor like 15 years ago said when he became a professor, right, his salary was the equivalent of $3,000.
Right.
He just retired, and his salary is the equivalent of $500. You can't. That tells you Nigeria is on the wrong track.
Right.
Once you accept that you are on the wrong track, then you can come back. And once you decide to come back, nobody has all the answers. You bring your own, we bring my own, and she brings her own. And in national interest, let us redesign things and get it right. Somebody in Niger Delta cannot suffer. At the end of the day, the simple thing is the country is not working. Let us recalibrate our strategies in national interest.
All right, thank you, sir. Finally.
Thank you very much. Quickly, I put mine in bullet points. Number one, most of us are either Christian or Muslim and God says when he created Adam that dominate the earth. It simply means that if you find yourself on a desert, turn it into a luscious ground. Even if you find yourself in an area where it's green, you can develop it. So the message here is dominate the earth, not your fellow man. God never asked us to dominate the fellow man. The second point I would like to make is that anybody who cannot manage diversity is not entitled and not qualified to lead Nigeria. You have to manage diversity. The third point is that Nigerians should be a bit more patient. It sounds ironic, but there is no other problem. I'm old enough I knew when Aguiyi was killed. I was being brought from school. I was already 7, 8 years old. So I knew, the question I asked myself when I look at Nigeria's history, how bad was Tafawa Balewa? Was it necessary? If we start looking at, we have a very fantastic habit of jumping from frying pan to fire, all in the belief that we are getting better. So, no, we don't want, and then we boza, you enter something else. It's like struggling in the plane with the pilot. All of you are going to crash. The third point I want to make, or fourth, is, look, God never leaves the place without opportunity for thanks. It's when you thank God for the little you have that you will get more. It is a principle for an individual. It shall not be different from a nation. You have to thank God for what you have. Then you will get more.
Finally.
Then people talk about lane. I still have two more points. People talk about
1
lane.
minute has passed.
In a marathon, there are no lanes. Tony's always said, it is a marathon. And if you look at marathons, there are no lanes. Anybody can be anything. Anybody can trust that responsibility to you. Finally, Tony formed a group called the Pareto, of which I was head of that group. We had a couple of others there. And the singular belief, if you understand the Pareto principle, is that you don't have to be majority to make the change. That is why, regardless of how many people in this room, I believe that the people in this room are the people that God wanted to be in this room, and the people in this room can change this country.
Yeah.
So, based on that, never say because we are not enough. That is why I don't believe in all this because you are majority. And so what? Did majority enter Noah's ark?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Please, could you put your hands together again for this fantastic panel? We've had Dr. George Etomi, Dr. Adebayo representing Dr. Kola Adeshino, Dr. Bisi Akin Alabi, Dr. Ayakem Witsky, Comrade Dr. Balazaka, Dr. Adeshino Fagbero Byron, and Ambassador Nkoyo Toyo. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And I don't know if we can get, yes, where is she? The DG? The DG will come take a picture. Yes, we'll call the DG. While we are getting the DG ready, we'd like to recognize the presence of my silver madam. All silver, looking beautiful. Oga Sonny, you are distracting. Oga Sonny, you are distracting my silver madam. She's one I'm calling now. We'll welcome in and acknowledging your presence. Yes, Mrs. Bimbo Oloyede. Welcome. Thank you. But I'm sure you know why I called you my silver madam. Yes, we'll now come take a picture. Please come over here. We'll take a picture with the panel. Yes, that's what happens. Yes, and while we're doing that, we're going to have the cake. We'll cut the cake before we leave the hall. Please, you be in the middle. The tributes are long. The tributes are plenty, so I think after lunch, we'll take the tribute. Okay, sir. You know what they usually do at cutting of cakes. Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Madam Bimbo, the cutting of the cake. Yes, please.
So this cake, is it
Should it have been Tony's birthday today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. How old would he have been? Okay. All right. Let me come to this side. Sorry. In the car? Fine, thanks.
Okay, so we have the, no, let's have the executive assistant to the governor for your pastor in the whole. He's also the secretary of the board. I'd like for you to be very soon with them.
Let me be at the end.
Oh, they say you are too tall. They say you are too tall.
Okay. So I understand that tomorrow would have been Tony's birthday. 70, he would have been 72 tomorrow. Okay.
Sound, music. Sorry, ma. Okay, thank you.
I am sure that we've already had a minute's silence. So let's just go straight ahead. Oh, you haven't? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we're doing 3 things. Amy, please join us. Okay. All right. Right. Okay. Can we please rise for 1 minute silence in memory of Tony URANTA? May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Tony, wherever you are, hear us calling you. Wherever you are, we wish you many happy returns in advance. Posthumous birthday greetings, and we're going to cut this cake. Baron, hold the knife. Amy, join her, please. We're going to work backwards. We'll work backwards. All right, well. Okay, fine. I wasn't planning on saying 72 times. So, but I'll go with the flow. All right, so T, I, U. Cut this cake. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining Lady Barong and Amy to cut this cake. I think we're going to start, though it's going to be brief, we're going to start a session where we will pay tribute to Tony. We all have different memories of him.
Is it now or after lunch?
Oh, it's going to be after lunch?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, all right. So we'll suspend that until after lunch. So if everybody that is on the stage could kindly move to the lobby.
Yeah, let's take about 15 minutes for the tributes because the day is far gone, so that people don't leave. This is a bigger part of it. So let's give it some minutes.
Okay, all right.
Where is the system? Okay, you're in charge.
Well, yes, okay. Okay. So, Amy, do you want to start? All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Adonai Tony URANTA. And I want to say, on behalf of my family, I want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking out time out of your busy schedules to honor my dad today. My dad lived with a rare kind of sincerity. He was bold, he was compassionate, and he was endlessly committed to the people and cause he believed in. I want to say, beyond his public work, he was a father with a warm heart. He had a sharp mind, and he had a deep sense of humor as well. And he taught me how to be honest, how to be strong, and how to show empathy, not just with words, but by example. I want to say, as we remember him today, we are comforted by the fact that his legacy lives through all of you. Those who have worked beside him, those who have challenged him, those who have supported him, and those who have shared moments of friendship with him. Thank you for standing with us today. Thank you for honoring him. Thank you for keeping his memory alive, and we want to say thank you. We appreciate your presence here today, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Amy. Right, let's go forward now. We don't have too much time. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yes. Who is coming forward next to pay tribute? Triple A. All right. Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Triple here, please. You can sit. You can sit.
Well, thank you so much. I met Tony when we were doing the Lower Niger program. Then we had a different approach and attitude towards what we want to do. Then we graduated to the South People Assembly. Then we begin to see each other the way and manner we were seeing Nigeria. But I became more intimated to him when myself and him, we rode the same vehicle from Abuja for 4 days. We shared the same hotel room because we wanted to conserve money for part autonomy campaigns. So we went together to Sabongari, where Pat family house were, then for Pat to do a formal declaration, a presidential declaration, which I anchored. Okay. So me and Tony, since then, we've been like assessment twins. But then, the last time we met was at my in-law's place when he did the mother's burial for Folaromi Adelore, the former director of legal services, Nigerian Petroleum Ministry. He remained what he was. He was also in this condition. And he so much excited me. He said, was just telling me his vision and his aspiration vision for the political summit group. And I said, Tony, he said, yes. I said, this is what I will remain until where I am. So today, I personally have to honor him to be here. Because the reason why I decided to come, because I cannot appreciate what he was and what he represents. Because I am also in the same condition with him now.
Right.
And I say, Tony, well, I want to inform you that Nigeria is still in democratic consolidation. we are not yet in full democracy. But I give you a word that in 2027, the Lion of Judah will lead the ragtag wolves and hyena against the arrogant pride of lion being led by a jackass. So, I know how it's going to end up, but Tony will feed you back. I want to say thank you. I know you are here.
Thank you very
much. And 2026, I will be with you again. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you next year too. Thank you.
All right.
Who is the next person that you would like to?
I would like Dame Julie Donley, who has worked behind the scene like crazy with us. Thank you so very much, Julie Denzi. Dame.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Please, may I stand? If you don't mind, to talk about my godfather, Uncle T.I.U. Was a father to me and to many of us Ijos. He was a very strong member of the Ijaw Nation Forum, INF, and so many other groups like that, Ijaw groups. Very fearless, someone who believed in justice, equity, fairness. You could walk up to him anytime and he would take your matter as his matter. You know, he would not sleep, he would not rest, he would keep calling you and asking you, what's up, why are you still here? You ought to be, you know, to be higher than where you are now. Why haven't they given you an appointment yet? Why haven't they, you know, he keeps asking for us and not for himself. You know, always encouraging us to grow, to be bigger and better than what we were. You know, honestly, when he was ill, I still believed, I saw him on his sick bed, but I believed he was going to fight because he was a fighter. I believed he was going to come round at some point. You know, I just had this faith. But when he passed, you know, I was heartbroken and I was very sad, you know, that he left us like that, because he actually left us when the Ijaw Nation really needed him. You know, so he left a very huge gap, you know, in the Ijaw Nation, and we miss him so dearly. I want to pray for his dear wife and Amy, that God will continue to sustain them, give you the strength to live on, to live through, and you should just find solace in the fact that T.I.U. was loved by so many of us. You know, he touched a lot of our lives, and he has taken us to places we didn't even imagine we could get to. God will give you strength, he will bless you, he will protect you, he will provide for you. And T.I.U. will continue to rest in peace. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I crave your join just to take this to one of the members of the Board of Trustees,
okay.
Oloye Sheiks Ladipo.
Thank you very much. Very few words to say except that we remember Tony very fondly. We have a joke. Tony and I had a joke. I've known Tony. I knew Tony from when we were very small, and he would say that I was his oldest friend, and then I would say that Wole Soyinka was his oldest friend, because Wole Soyinka is a much older man. But Tony, we grew up together, and we shared these dreams from when we were small, read comics together, and we believed that we could build an ideal world. Tony was an extraordinary person. For those who knew him, he spent most of his early years in Lagos, and he was a quintessential Nigerian. He could mix with everybody, the high, the low, from the east, the west, everybody. And that was his power. His power was people. He could reach people, he could communicate with people. And in latter years, he realized that that gift had to be used as a tool for the unity of a nation that was falling apart. Our dreams of Nigeria just were not coming into reality. And that became a lifelong struggle, which eventually consumed him. He literally fought that battle to the very end on his deathbed. And we were there. I was with Barong at Lagos University Teaching Hospital up to the very last moment. But Tony, he would not let go. That was just his dream. So I'm very, very happy that today Barong has picked up the gauntlet, and many of Tony's friends have rallied round and established this foundation, which will carry on that dream. And we hope that one day, not too far away, that dream will be realized. I also believe in what Dr. Shino said about the Pareto principle. I don't think we need a whole large population to bring about change. I think we have enough people with the brain power, with the vision and the dream. And so let's just put our hands to the plow and get on it. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shakes. All right, let me come back to Ogasoni. Thank you very much. Ogasoni is a very influential member of the Tony URANTA Foundation. He works like the man is just behind the scene and pulling great stunts. Thank you so very much. Don't remove your face now. I know you don't like what I'm doing, but go ahead.
Well, thank you, too. Well, I should say that Tony represented equity, fairness, and justice. He always shouted for it. He acted it. And we tried to emulate his ways. But the truth is, Tony looked so stubborn that you could never really understand his words from his looks. A German, you know. So I should say, Tony, wherever you are, God be with you. For us who are remembering you, may God help us to achieve our dream, your dream, and our aim. May Nigeria remain united in spite of everything. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much.
2 words. Let me go to another member of the planning committee, Princess Bola Alexis. Yes. Briefly. She has to put on her glasses so that she does not look bye-bye like me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we stand in respectful remembrance of a rare gem whose life was a beacon of intelligence, courage, unity, and humanity. Tony was not just a visionary. He was the foundation on which this remarkable TIU People platform was built. A gathering of noble minds, compassionate hearts, and change makers. 4 years may have passed since his transition, but his legacy continues to live vibrantly in our conversations. And our impact and the strong connections we share on this platform. His voice for national discourse, justice, good governance, and human dignity remains a living echo in our hearts. As we honor him today, we do not mourn with sorrow. but with gratitude. For a life richly lived, a vision generously shared, and a legacy that continues to inspire us all. May we keep his memory alive by standing for the truth, embracing humanity, and building bridges of peace, just as he passionately did. Tony lives on, not in history books alone, but in the hearts of everyone his vision brought together. Ouch! Rest on, great icon. Your light still shines.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please let me go to Bena, who is, nobody works. Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say a few words about Tony. Tony believed so much in Nigeria that even when he was bedridden, he was holding court. I attended 2 meetings with him while he was bedridden. And after one of the meetings, he sent me a message. He wanted me to call a meeting of several people. And I called him back to say, Tony, I'm an Ijaw woman. I cannot call that kind of meeting. If you call that meeting, I will be in the engine room to make it happen. He was very upset with me. But I apologized, and I told him that I wanted to follow the local protocol. But he understood where I was coming from. We're not here by accident. We're here because of a man who believed in Nigeria. He believed in the unity of this country. He believed that Nigeria can find its way to the top. And by his grace, we will be able to help make that happen. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's clear that Tony was...
Okay. Tony, sorry, forgive me, ma. I'm sorry. Segun was Tony's personal assistant. And so, Segun Ayola, would you just pick the phone and speak about your boss who is in glory?
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here today to speak about what I know about Mr. URANTA, who happened to be my favorite boss, even until his death. In all of my tours of duty, unpaid and unpaid jobs, my experience with Mr. URANTA has continued to remain the most memorable, with the benefit of hindsight. I make bold to say that I did not just grow professionally under him. My association with Mr. URANTA saw me getting acquainted with a lot of influential people, some of whom became very close. I'm still unable to find the right words to express the pall of sadness that enveloped me the day the news broke that he was no more. That feeling has continued to linger with me, even while coming to this venue for this program. I still have that strange feelings that I will find him seated among this gathering today, because most time I dream and I still see myself walking with him, either in the hotel or in a special gathering like this. He was one of the people that I highly respected and indeed adored. Much as I would have loved to be possessed of that fiery dictions to express how the best words to express our relationship, I still can't find. I know it was very bold. Many times I can't remember when he received calls from terrorists, especially the Boko Haram group. And they would tell him, Mr. URANTA, we like what you are doing. You are a true Nigerian. We know where you are. We see some strong men around you carrying fat guns. But you see, those people will not help you. But we are in tune with you. We like what you are doing. When you come to the north, don't come with security. You are protected. Continue with what you are doing. We love you. One coping mechanism for me, whenever at my wit's end, is to imagine what my boss, Mr. URANTA, would do in this situation. If there is one thing that I did that made me fulfilled was when I went to see him in his house in 2020. At a time that strength was ebbing away from him. And I politely asked him to stop paying my salaries. He was overwhelmed by this decision. And he held my hands, blessed me with prayers, mixed with tears in his eyes. As he manifested the other side of him, many did not know. Mr. URANTA was a prayer warrior. He was a prayer warrior. A nationalist, a believer of one Nigeria. He's somebody that wants to see how the Niger Delta can work. He spent all his life ensuring that Nigeria remains indivisible. He tried his best. Today, he's no more. His memory still remains with us. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you so
Let
much.
me crave your indulgence, Ma. You had a lot you wrote there. That's a tribute. If you don't mind, you can just go and present it to the wife, right? Because we didn't allow him to finish it. You can go and just present it to her. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now that you're talking about the wife, let me just say one or two words, because a lot of people will say and have said much about Tony. But I want to say that I didn't know Tony very well, but I know his wife very well. And I was a witness to the way she took care of him towards the end. And I want to say to you, Baron, that if you have any doubts, let me assure you that everything humanly possible for a human being to do, to look after him, to save him, to ease his discomfort, you did it. I watched it. I watched it. I watched it. In fact, I didn't even know that Baron and I lived in the same estate. It was one morning we bumped into each other during our morning walk. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "Mrs. O, what are you doing here?" So it turned out that we were virtually neighbors. So by that time, Tony was already ill. So when I went to visit her, most times I wasn't able to see him, but I was able to observe what she did. So take today as closure, that you have done what you can do, and that God will be with you, has been with you, and will continue to be with you. And you will be rewarded for the way you looked after your husband. Take it from someone who also looked after her own husband with the same kind of situation and circumstances and condition. So I am free. Please be free.
Thank you.
One more person, and then one more.
Just what? No, it's okay. We are going to see something. Chino, you will. Yeah, you are the chairman, so tell us more people. We may not come back because we're just eating and going from there. Okay. I'm just trying to, because you see we just 3 more. Okay. All right. Let's let Chino Obasi, please. Chino Obasi, quickly. 60 seconds, please.
Okay. All right. Why I felt that it is important that I do this is because I never had the opportunity of meeting Tony URANTA man-to-man personally. However, I watched him all through his activism on TV, and he kind of resonated with me. His lifestyle, the things he preached. He was not one of those people who shouts. He wasn't that loud and noisy, but he communicated. And you will hear him clearly. And what he stood for will clearly be passed on. And each time I learned that he's on TV, I went to the TV and I wanted to hear him. He was the kind of person who loved Nigeria, who wanted the unity of this country, but based on equity and fairness. And I believe that one of the things that we have done to immortalize him is putting this memorial lecture, and I hope it will become an annual event that will grow from place to place. Thank you so much.
I know it will be an annual event. That's Dr. Leke. We're coming back to him. Dr. Leke. Where is Dr. Leke, please? Yeah. Dr. Leke is a vital member of this group, and this man came all the way from Abuja, spent close to $1 million to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our friend and our big brother, Tony. I remember the last time I was with him. Apparently, we boarded a flight from Lagos. Then the Abuja airport was under construction. There was maintenance on the runway. So we had to go through Kaduna. And that route of Kaduna to Abuja had quite a lot of bandits. Government provided buses for us to move us from Kaduna to Abuja. I was having stomach upset, and I was afraid of getting into a bus that didn't have convenience there. And God forbid, if anything was to happen to me, it would be very embarrassing, as in tummy upset. So when they said, once they lock, they will not stop until we get to Kaduna and no convenience in the bus, I said, no way, I'll take my chances with the bandits. Late Tony, immediately I said that, he stood up also. He said he would take his chances. I said, okay, we are two, let's go. And the conversation we had in that journey between Kaduna to Abuja, we had to take a charter, was very, very deep. That was the turning point of our friendship. And in his latter days, before he departed, we were practically talking every day, praying every day. Even when there was so much around him, we were always together in prayer. The late Tony was indeed what I call a seed. What he sowed in the lives of many, and even in our country. I pray that we'll have people that will be able to take up that baton and run and make a better future for the younger ones. May his gentle soul rest in peace. For Barong, we pray and we stand with you. All will be well with you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Before Dr. Chisa speak, let me quickly recognize Pastor Chin Favor, who has been wonderful. Thank you so very much. She's one of our planning committee members. With her baby, she got all this place. She did a lot with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to acknowledge the presence of Joy Imeli, who is a personal assistant to the chairman of Airpeace. Thank you very much. And we want you to thank him for us also. Dr. Chizia, Ideasaba.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, what can I say about Tony? I think that a lot has been said. But I go memory lane, all of us, myself, part of Tommy, we've been in the trenches, so to say. So wherever there are discussions about Nigeria and so on, challenges Nigeria, we're all there discussing. So that has been the meeting point. So Tony has been so consistent, I mean, it's something somebody you can predict. And so we've all been there, and I'm glad that this is happening. And I'm also glad that I'm able to participate, in getting this on. And I think that for his memory, our prayer is that this is going to be sustained. I think it's very important. I salute Baron. I think that she's done very well. We all joined in interviews. Where's Sonny? Sonny gave us an opportunity. We discussed on television and discussed on radio. So I think that I'm sure this way, we are keeping his memory. I think that's what is important. Unfortunately for us, Nigeria is not moving in the right direction. We are not moving. And whilst we are having our discussions here, people didn't touch what I thought was a critical point. Critical point, Nigeria wasn't as bad as until election 2023. Let's say we'll have to call a spade by its name. It wasn't as bad. I lost some friends after 2023. Some people I didn't know were that biased. I lost some friends. Some people I went there, buried their fathers. I went to their place to bury. I'm a pan-Nigerian. All of us are. We see you for what you are. We don't care where you come from. What do you have in you? That's what is most important for this country. Now, the thing is worsened. And when we were having the discussion, they didn't say what I thought was a critical thing. Until we get our elections right, until we begin to select, we make elections to count. You don't select somebody because he says, it's my turn. If somebody comes to say, it's my turn, it's not come with any vision. It just comes because this is my time. It's my time to now make good. That wouldn't get us anywhere. So I think that, we are glad Tony's memory has been sustained. We pray for all of us. We pray for Baron. We pray for the family. And we pray that all of us around, again, to continue this project. I salute you for the work you are doing. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please call on Pastor Idowu to please give the vote of thanks before our acting chairman rounds off?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just stand on all the already established protocol. I knew the late TIU through the House on the Rock Church. I was pastoring the Urban Alternative Service, and then I used to have a very good brother Tunde Ogumbuyi. So he came together with the late TIU to one of our services. And then he just took interest in me, and we started that friendship. And one of the regrets I had was that he invited me to his wedding then, gave me one very important package for me to come, honor the wedding. But somehow I couldn't make it. And many years after, I had to move to Ibadan. And one of those days, knowing that he was sick, and I had to come all the way from Ibadan to Lagos. I visited them at Omoli because I said, if I couldn't honor this man in one of the joyful day of his life, while he was on his sick bed, I need to show that I am also a friend indeed. So I took time off, I came, I visited. But one thing I want to say about the late TIU is that he was a voice, very courageous voice, a voice that spoke to the conscience of our nation, of our leaders. And he was a fearless person. I'm a very bold person too, so many times we always have serious confrontation, we always argue. And one thing I noticed about him is that he is open-hearted. Yes, I just want to say this, I will come to the vote of time. He's a very open-minded person, very large-hearted. Sometimes he will come into my inbox, we will argue, and he wants to listen to you. At one point, we disagreed on the platform that he removed me from the platform, and so people went to tell him and said, "Tell you, what you did is not okay. What has this person done to you?" And he's somebody who, when you can present your case, he will listen. He listened to them, and he restored me back. We still argued afterwards, so we still argue, but you see a very good-hearted person, you see a very friendly person, you see a very matured person. I really missed him. I mean, one of the things that also made me so committed to the wife and also to the foundation is the fact that, yes, I will do it very shortly. Okay, please let me just land. So let me land. So I am committed to the TIU Foundation because of the person of TIU, the understanding of what it stands for, and together by the grace of God, we will make this foundation to work.
Thank you very much. Amen to your
So
prayer.
having said that, on behalf of the Director General, the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, I want to express our deep gratitude to thank everyone who has made this event, particularly a huge success. I want to thank my dear brother. We fought, we disagreed, but we always come to agree on the fact that these events must hold, no matter our differences. So I want to thank you, sir, Pastor Aimee James. I really appreciate you. I want to thank Pastor Leke Toba, very matured man. He will come again to explain what has gone on, what we need to do. God bless you, Pastor Leke. I want to thank on behalf of the foundation, all our, particularly the chairman, Ambassador Godno Agali, and I want to say, please express our deep gratitude to him. We are so grateful that he came. I also want to thank Professor Pat Utomi, the erudite, very deep Professor Utomi. I've known Professor Utomi for several years. In fact, he's spoken on the platform I invited him to in Ibadan. So I want to express our deep appreciation to him also. So all our fantastic panelists, you all did fantastically well. Please, let's put our hands together. Very insightful. You've given us something to chew, something to deliberate on, something to, get engagement with. And I'm sure for the next couple of weeks, we'll keep ruminating and, talking and engaging on some of the points that you brought to this meeting. And to all our guests, all our friends on TIU People's Platform, the supporters of this event, cameramen, the crew member, members of the press, our anchor, fantastic. Please, let's put our hands together for her also. She did very well, fantastically well. To everyone, please accept our deep, deep sense of gratitude. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Joe.
Thank you, sir. Ma, before we are going to finally now. Please, sincerely, finally. I need to commend people who worked seriously behind the scene. Zurivida, all the way from Port Harcourt, flew in yesterday. Thank you so very much. She came into Lagos by 2 a.m. for this event. Thank you for coming. Prince Emmanuel Ajibulu, thank you so very much. God bless you. I can't see, I see very well. So please, avoid, if I have not called your name because I've not seen you, forgive me. So I go to, where's she now?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Before the chairman, sir, Thank you for reminding us. Please, I'm sure you dropped your email ID and all that. They will be sharing with you any form of support needed. They'll share details with you. Right, team? They'll be sharing details with you. And any other detail or details you would like to have as concerning how you want to share the details? Okay.
Yeah, I want to also really, really appreciate all the people that made this event possible through their contribution. Please, let's put our hands together for all the donors, the contributors. And we want to say we will still come back to you because we want to make this a consistent event, a lecture that will keep speaking like Tony to the conscience of our nation. So please, we want to plead with you, let your resources be available to support this vision. God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, we need all you can give to us. The account number is Tony URANTA Foundation, First Bank, 2047 48 3440. Can I take it again? 2047 48 is on the program. Thank you. Please, we need all the. In fact, as you are going now, you can be texting it there, transferring it into the account because we have bills to pay. Thank you. Please, we are introducing to you Nze Charles Anyam Osigwe, who is the Executive Secretary of JPWIN and at the same time the acting or the FIDIHE chairman for the occasion. You know what they call FIDIHE? Thank you.
Can I borrow your mic? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am really honored when I was asked to stand in for the very efficient and effective chairman, Dr. Egali. I want to say that this occasion, kudos to everybody that put it together. The quality of this occasion, the quality of the facilitators, and the way they spoke to the topic of the event was brilliant, without exception. And as somebody has said, they've given us a lot to chew on. Nigeria is a work in progress. And as Dr. Tommy said, let's be optimistic. Tony was optimistic about Nigeria. And it was that optimism that fired him up, even on his deathbed, that he put together the Justice, Equity for Peace and Unity in Nigeria called JPWIN, of which I'm the current executive secretary. When he called us as members of the Anyam Osigwe Foundation because he knew that the idea tallied with what we stood for, and said, let's come together and form JPWIN, we could not say no. But to see the passion of somebody highly incapacitated physically, but boy, oh boy, Tony was an intellectual giant. And he had the connect across the nation. There was nobody that was more than a phone call away from Tony. He was that connected. And he did not use it to reach himself. He was just interested in making Nigeria a better place. Because if Nigeria is a better place, you don't need connection. You don't need anybody to do anything for you. You do it for yourself. So I will appeal to all of us to keep his spirit alive, not to give up hope, and to soldier on. Because at the end of the day, good will triumph over evil. Amen. That is natural law. Amen. Unless we give up, then we are defeated. But knowing that we will win, we must continue and persist, because victory belongs to the righteous, not to the evil people. So I want to thank all of us for making time to come today. It's been a wonderful outing. And I'm sure the next edition, this place will be packed. It will be packed because the propagating Tony's ideals is a task that must be kept alive and be achieved. And we pray that God will make it happen. But the truth about God is that his blessings are already given. It is for you to get up and key into it. Because God will not do for us what we will do for ourselves. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We wish you the very best and looking forward to having you join us again this same time in 2026. We wish you the best of the season. If you must travel, please travel safely. But not be by force to travel, or I beg you. You can stay here and do Dirty December with us in Lagos, please. Not be by force to travel. My name is Cordelia Obe Okorigwe. It's been a pleasure serving you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please, you can move to the foyer to take your refreshment. Cordelia, please.